Chapter 337. This round of scolding made all the teachers in the high school fall into deep thought. Some of them even empathized with him. The scolding made all the participating students turn pale and tremble. The 10 captains stood on the stage. Each one of them was embarrassed and at a loss. This round of scolding was truly a torrential torrent of abuse, dripping with satisfaction. The only one who was not scolded was Duo. He was even praised that each of them felt as if they had been fucked. In Shui City First High, the captain thought for a moment and suddenly took 2 steps forward. He stood tall, bowed deeply and said loudly, "Teacher, you're right. This time I was wrong. I sincerely apologize to all the teachers. Thank you again. You've worked hard. I'll be forever grateful. My impoliteness this time will be a stain on my life. When I return to Shui City, I'll go to the old principal's Don't Return Pagoda to face the wall and receive my punishment. Thank you, teachers. I know I was wrong." Zhou Yunqing's expression was clear. He bowed in all directions and left the stage with his head held high. The teachers' faces were filled with gratification. Even Xiaoduo's face flashed with a rare look of appreciation. This Zhou Yunqing from Shui City First High was indeed not an ordinary person. Perhaps some people would think that this Zhou Yunqing was very scheming and could take things lying down. However, Xiaoduo knew that this was not the case. This person was the kind of person who would rather break than bend. Once he knew he was wrong, he would apologize immediately. He would not wait until the next day. After Zhou Yunqing admitted his mistake and left the stage, the other captains could only apologize and thank him. However, the feeling of disgust in their hearts became even stronger at what the fuck was this? In this world, only Xiaoduo and Zhou Yunqing were sensible? If the 2 of you were so sensible, why didn't you go to heaven? The judges on the stage also felt uncomfortable as if they had eaten shit. At the beginning, Zhou Yunqing's apologies sounded a little sincere. But what's up with the other 9 fellows thanking us with expressions as if they had just eaten shit? Were they that disgusting? Was it so hard for them to accept a word of thanks? Were they trying to disgust them? Students these days. Each and every one of them has such low quality. One of the teachers sighed and said, "Each generation is worse than the last's. In the long run, only martial arts will remain, but they will forget to respect their teachers and their teachings. If they lose their reverence, it will be a disaster for the entire human race." Another teacher looked further ahead. Not bad, not bad. This was a matter of atmosphere, and it was indeed not to be underestimated. Looks like we'll have to pay more attention to this aspect of teaching in the future. Another teacher nodded deeply. Indeed, we can't afford to slack off. No matter how high his talent is, if he doesn't have any humanity, how can we hope that he can wholeheartedly protect this continent? In the long run, it won't be rare for people to become immoral, casually use the names of their elders to abuse others, or use the deeds of heroes to insult others. We must put an end to it. Once discovered, we must punish them severely. Cultivation of the martial arts, cultivation of the mind, all of these are important. Not a single one can be missing. But now, people have neglected the latter too. They shouldn't have. Yes, remember to report this to the martial arts department when you go back. Alright. Below, the results of the draw were already being announced. Xiaoduo took the first lot and returned to his seat without even looking at it. "Who did you draw?" Wan Lixiu asked nervously. "Of course it's a bai." Li Chenglong rolled his eyes. "Zhua is the one who's picking. It's a miracle if he didn't draw a bai." "Didn't you see him sit down as soon as he came back? He didn't even look at it? Otherwise, wouldn't he have already started to arrange the troops?" Li Chenglong rolled his eyes. "It's a good opportunity for me to take a break. Is it really a bai?" Several others were curious and came over to check it out. Xiaoduo snorted and lowered his voice. He winked and said, "There's only one empty spot. If I don't take it out, do you think I'll just let someone else take it out to see what's going on?" He showed the lot. The number 11 on it was dazzling. Immediately, Xiaoduo jumped up from his seat excitedly. He was so excited that he attracted everyone's attention. He shouted happily, "What good luck! It's actually a bai." His voice was so loud that it was deafening. Immediately, it attracted everyone's attention. Immediately after, countless people cursed in their hearts, and there were even more people who were jealous in their hearts. How could his luck be so good? The results of the draw. Hidden Dragon number 1 High School versus Garrison number 1 High School. Fenghai number 3 High School versus Phoenix Tail number 1 High School. Yangluo number 1 High School versus Tsongshan number 1 High School. Water City number 1 High School versus Nanji number 1 High School. Shirko number 1 High School versus Longbu number 1 High School. Phoenix City number 2 High School, a bye. After the drawing of lots, the 5 competition venues were waiting for the 2 teams to enter the venue. The referees of each venue were also in place, waiting for the match. Zuoxiao Duo urgently assigned tasks. Go and watch the show. Through this competition, I hope to see the actual situation of these teams. I'll go and watch the battle between Hidden Dragon and Garrison. Long Yuxing and Wan Lixiu, you two go and watch the battle between Fenghai and Fengwei. Li Chenglong, you go and watch the battle between Yang Luo and Tsongshan. Yu Moyan, you're in charge of the battle between Water City and Nanji. Li Zhongming, the remaining match is yours. Let me tell you, Li Zhongming, if you fall asleep, I'll eat you alive. Zuoxiao Duo gritted his teeth and threatened Li Zhongming. Immediately, Li Zhongming was so scared that his eyes widened and he was no longer sleepy. If someone else said this, Li Zhongming could laugh it off. However, Li Zhongming didn't dare to doubt Zuoxiao's words. If Boss was said that he was going to eat Li Zhongming raw, then it was really possible that he was going to swallow him whole, that he could not afford to be careless at all. However, what Li Zhongming did not understand was why they did not separate Long Yuxing and Wan Lixiu even though they knew that he was a little unreliable. Why did they not separate Long Yuxing and Wan Lixiu and let them each take charge of one match? What's so great about the two of them? It was just a competition, yet they still had to eat mouthfuls of dog food. Yes, the two of them were indeed great. Hu Ruyun and Hu Lai both heaved a sigh of relief when they drew a bye for the first round. This way, they could deal with the situation more calmly. The 6 of them set off according to the arrangement and went to 5 different arenas to watch the show and spy on the enemy. Yu Moyan, you can try to find teacher Luo Yenling. If you don't understand, just ask. You must know how to use your advantages. Zuoxiao Duo whispered to Yu Moyan. Yu Moyan blushed. Obviously, he was embarrassed, but he still squeezed his way through. Luo Yenling was pleasantly surprised to see that Yu Moyan, who she thought highly of, was walking towards her. It seemed like he was going to watch the other matches. She was pleasantly surprised and took the initiative to welcome him. Yu Moyan? What are you going to do? Yu Moyan heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that he did not have to ask first. Scratching his head, he said with a troubled expression, "We won't be participating in this match. Our boss assigned me a mission to spy on the other side. My target is the match between Water City First High School and South G First High School." As he spoke, his dark and thin face showed that he was in a difficult position. That's easy. Luo Yenling was worried about not being able to get closer to him. She immediately volunteered. I'll take you there. Is that okay? Yu Moyan's face was full of hesitation. What's not okay about it? Let's go. The match is about to start. Luo Yenling pulled Yu Moyan away. Zuoxiao Duo, who was watching from afar, heaved a sigh of relief. He turned around and went to find Teacher Ma Zhangxi. Hello, Teacher Ma. Zuoxiao Duo was as obedient and sensible as always. Zuoxiao Duo? Ma Zhangxi had a very good impression of Zuoxiao Duo. He smiled as soon as he saw him. His long horse face was smiling like a flower. You came to find me? Yes. Zuoxiao Duo went straight to the point. Didn't we happen to have a bye this round? But luck can't be used to make a living. In the end, we still have to rely on our strength. I was thinking of going to watch the match between Hidden Dragon number 1 Middle School and Garrison number 1 Middle School. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll never be defeated. But according to the rules, our teachers can't accompany us. I'm afraid that I won't be able to understand some parts. Ma Zhangxi laughed. It's a piece of cake. Come with me. But Ma Zhangxi took Zuoxiao Duo and flew directly to the referee's seat. He said, This place has the best view. Thank you so much, Teacher Ma. Zhou Xiaoduo's face revealed a bit of uneasiness and awkwardness. If I do this, won't people say, "Why don't I go down?" Ma Zhangxi laughed. I'm standing here. Who dares to say anything? What kind of hothead is that? You can just stay here and watch. If anyone dares to fart, I'll kill him. The 6 referees at the side were all speechless. Ma Zhangxi, you took the lead to break the rules and even threatened others. Why do you think your face is big now? You only have a fucking horse face. You only have a long face. You're not big. But at this moment, they were really embarrassed to slap Ma Zhangxi in the face. They could only let him stay. In the end, this was really not a big deal. Spying on the opponent's strength was the right thing to do. There was nothing to talk about. Hello, teachers. You've worked hard. As usual, Zhou Xiaoduo's mouth was as sweet as honey. He eagerly went forward and tried to worm his way into being friends with them. With the teacher's profound cultivation, it must be extremely boring for you to come and watch us play like kids. Yet, you still have to seriously watch and analyze our potential. It's getting more and more difficult. And you've been doing so much for your students all year round. When I think about it, I really feel that it's not easy for you teachers. This work doesn't seem difficult, but if you analyze it carefully, who knows how much effort you put in? It's really countless times more than the fierce battle. It might not be as worry-free as the battle at Sun Moon Pass. Teachers, thank you very much. Zhou Xiaoduo bowed solemnly and thanked them. When the 6 judges heard these words, they all had the same feeling. What he said had hit the nail on the head. Wasn't it just like that? After so many years, who really looked up to the hard work of the high martial arts teachers? Easy? Who dared to say it was easy? They would directly knock out their teeth. Everyone, give me a few recommendation votes. It's a little too little. There will be a 4th update later. Chapter 338. After listening to Zhou Xiaoduo's speech, the teachers were filled with emotions. Just as Zhou Xiaoduo had said, any one of them would be able to wipe out this group of students without much effort. Not to mention, there was no point in comparing their combat prowess. Even with such rookies fighting each other, they still had to sit here and act as judges. They also had to analyze the specific situation, individual combat awareness, various aptitudes, and so on. They were really tired of doing the same thing every day for so many years, but they had to do it. If this group of little fellows could not grow up, who would take over the heavy burden of the other side? Which powerhouse did not start at this stage? Generation after generation of powerhouses walked out of the school and went to various positions. Each of them became heroes, role models, and legends. They were praised by the world and admired by the world. However, the teachers who taught them continued to stay at their original positions day after day. They continued to teach batch after batch of new students, who had the right to know their hard work and how difficult it was for them. Zhou Xiaoduo's speech warmed the hearts of the 6 people, but there was also a sour feeling in their hearts. It's not easy. An old man with a white beard sighed softly. It's rare that there are still children nowadays who can say such things. This old man is worth it. This time, I traveled 17,000 miles to come here. Even if it's just because of this speech, this trip is worth it. Yes, Zhou Xiaoduo, you're very good. Another middle-aged female teacher said with sparkling eyes, Zhou Xiaoduo, do you have a high martial arts school that you like now? Ma Zhangxi frowned and said angrily, what are you trying to do? Zhou Xiaoduo's face was bashful and honest. With an extremely sincere look, he said, actually, this student has not thought of a good place to go until now. I want to ask the teachers of this school for advice, but the teachers of this school stay in Phoenix City all year round. Phoenix City is located at the border, so I don't know much about the outside world. Therefore, if teachers have any suggestions, this student will definitely listen with an open mind and consider them carefully. After hearing what he said, the 6 judges and Ma Zhangxi felt embarrassed to directly recommend their own school. Yes, the students trusted them and came to ask for advice. If he only wanted to pull them to his own school, he would be too selfish. If his school was one of the top 3 famous martial arts universities, it would be fine. But if it wasn't, It was only for the good of his school. What if he really hindered this child's future? With this child's aptitude, it was best for him to go to Ancestral Dragon in Shangjing. There was the most suitable teacher for him there. However, if he were to deceive her with flowery words for the sake of his school, that it was a huge delay. Every school wanted a genius. However, there was one thing that could not be doubted. Only with a specific cultivation technique, a specific physique, and a specific environment could it be perfectly compatible. This was the principle of getting twice the result with half the effort. It seems that we still need to think about it carefully. The white-bearded teacher muttered to himself and slowly said, "If you want to come to our school, we will naturally welcome you with open arms. However, if you only want a fair suggestion, you still need to seriously consider it." Zuoxiao Duo respectfully said, "Thank you, teacher. Actually, it is still early. In this competition, the reason why my Phoenix City's second high school was able to come to this stage was not without luck. However, this student does not have the confidence to go one step further, or even to become the champion. Why don't I wait for the final results to come out and consult the teachers? I believe that at that time, the teachers will have a better understanding of me. At that time, the suggestions will be more valuable and more comprehensive. This child, you are really not bad." The few judges were very appreciative. It was rare that this child was not anxious or impatient. Moreover, he was so clear-headed. He was simply experienced in worldly affairs. Indeed, only at that time would they be able to make the most direct and comprehensive judgment. The bell rang. 2 teams appeared one after the other on both sides. However, the 12 people on both sides of the battle were all shocked. That kid with a face full of smiles and flattery, wasn't that the captain of Phoenix City's second high school, Zuoxiao Duo? This bastard, why was he sitting at the referee's table? Oh no, he was sitting at the referee's table. But what was going on? We're all here for the competition. Why are you looking down on us from above? What's going on? Even if you were here to spy on us, you shouldn't be so open and above board, right? Could it be that you were watching a big show? The few people from Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School especially felt that they were no different from a fucking dog. Why the fuck are you haunting us? Go and look at the other teams. Why are you staring at us? However, now was not the time to think about this. Because the battle was about to start. They really did not have the time or the mood. There was no time to be distracted. On the opposite side, the 6 students from the Garrison No. 1 High School were burning with fighting spirit. They deeply knew that there was a gap between them and Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. However, even if there was a gap, so what? If we fight to the death, we might still have a chance. Since that was the case, then, let's fight to the death. Everyone had the same thought, and their hearts shared the same reasoning. The moment the 2 sides came up, it was an explosive start of life and death. This battle was so fierce that even Zuoxiao Duo was shocked. In the first battle, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School sent out a boy and the Garrison No. 1 High School sent out a girl. The 2 sides fought fiercely and did not hold back. They fought until both sides were injured. One of the legs of the boy from Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School was directly broken. The girl on the opposite side suffered countless blows. Almost 1/3 of her bones were broken. Finally, she could not bear the heavy burden and fainted. This was the end of the first battle. Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School won the first battle. It was a tragic victory. This kind of tragic atmosphere made the hearts of both the referee and the students sink. In the second battle, the captain of the Garrison No. 1 High School fought fiercely against the vice-captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. Both sides were injured. The captain of the Garrison No. 1 High School was hit 7 times. More than 1 kilogram of flesh was shaved off his body. However, he forcefully knocked the vice-captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School off the stage. He spat out more than 10 mouthfuls of blood and pieces of his internal organs before fainting. In the second battle, the Garrison No. 1 High School won, but it was also a tragic victory. The name of the Garrison No. 1 High School came from its name. It was said that this city was the place where the army was stationed before the war between the 2 armies in ancient times. Since ancient times, the people were valiant and did not fear death. The students of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School could be said to have perfectly inherited this valiant style. No matter who they met, there was only one word to describe it: fight. Even if they could not kill their opponents, could they not kill themselves? Now that they had met Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School, they had already made up their minds. Even if they were to risk their lives, they would drag the Emperor down from his high horse. After the fourth battle, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School had 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. There were no exceptions for the contestants from both sides. They were all covered with injuries, both internal and external. In the fifth battle, the captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School personally fought. On the surface, Zuoxiaoduo did not show any change in expression. However, he secretly raised his spirits and observed with rapt attention. This guy was an old silver coin. He was practically the biggest old silver coin besides Laozi. Laozi must take a good look at this guy's background. In this battle, the captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School won rather easily. The atmosphere was much more relaxed than the previous 4 battles. The reason was simple. He had been forced to reveal his hidden embryonic breathing realm strength by his opponent. If he did not reveal his strength, which was far superior to his opponent's, he would have to bear a great deal of damage. Balancing the 2 evils, he chose to reveal his hidden strength and use his strength to suppress and crush his opponent. In the face of absolute strength, no matter how tenacious one's fighting spirit was, it was useless. Victory and defeat were clear. Zuoxiaoduo's judgment was that this guy was still holding back his strength. However, based on the instantaneous eruption, he should be at the pinnacle of the embryonic breathing realm. He still had not reached the primordial elixir realm. Looking at the strength, this guy should be a ruthless character who has suppressed his cultivation. Zuoxiaoduo thought to himself, at least 4 or 5 times he has suppressed the agitation of his vital essence. Moreover, he has already broken through to the high level of the embryonic breathing realm. The upper limit of his strength is very likely to be at the half step to the primordial elixir realm. It is rather impressive. In our team, other than me, there is really no one else who is a match for this guy. 5 battles, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School has 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. The winner is No. 1 High School of Hidden Dragon. On the opposite side, the leader of the garrison store stood up with blood all over his body. He smiled slightly and said, "I originally wanted to fight all 6 battles, but unfortunately, I don't have the chance to fight the 6th battle. However, we have already tried our best. We have no more regrets." He looked at the people from No. 1 High School of Hidden Dragon and said calmly, "It is a pity that this is not a battle formation fight." This sentence caused the expressions of all the teachers present to change. The valiant spirit of the students from No. 1 High School of the Garrison Store could be said to be the most suitable fighting style for a battle of life and death on the battlefield. If they met these people from No. 1 High School of Hidden Dragon on the battlefield, the number of casualties would definitely be less than that of No. 1 High School of Hidden Dragon. Even if their cultivation was far inferior, even if their realms were not as good, when it came to a battle of life and death on the battlefield, that the final winner might not be No. 1 High School of Hidden Dragon. The leader of No. 1 High School of Hidden Dragon was silent for a while. Then, he said calmly, "Maybe, but in this battle, we have won." The leader of the garrison store said calmly, "From the beginning, we did not expect to win. We only used all our strength so that you won't have it so easy in the next battle. You people from Hidden Dragon have been in first place for too long. This time, even if we have to cripple ourselves, we will reduce your strength by 30%. He raised his head and looked at Zuoxiaoduo. He smiled and said, "Leader Zua, do your best. Next year, I hope that Phoenix City's No. 2 High School will be the defending champion." Zuoxiaoduo laughed loudly and said, Thank you. You have worked hard. If it is really as you said, I will treat you to wine for a year. Words are like the wind. It is a promise." The leader of the garrison store laughed and waved his hand. Then he carried one of his brothers on his back and another in his arms and walked down the stage with the other team members. Even though he was seriously injured, he still walked with his back straight and his aura was dignified. The people from Hidden Dragon turned their heads and looked at Zhuoxiao Duo. Their expressions were unfriendly. Chapter 339. Captain Zhuo, your declaration is a bit premature. You may not even have the chance to fight against Hidden Dragon. The captain of Hidden Dragon smiled faintly, his gaze as sharp as a sword. You're right. Zhuoxiao Duo smiled and said, with Hidden Dragon's current situation, it's very likely that you'll be eliminated by other teams in the next round. If we can't fight against you, it would be a pity. The captain of Hidden Dragon knows his own limits. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Let's wait and see. The people of Hidden Dragon also stepped down from the stage. Ma Zhangxi looked at Zhuoxiao Duo and asked, how do you feel? Hidden Dragon should still have a certain amount of hidden strength. Zhuoxiao Duo honestly expressed his opinion. In the eyes of these high martial arts teachers, this level of battle was really like playing house. No matter how much they tried to hide, they would be able to see through it with a single glance. Instead of wasting time and effort, it was better to directly tell the truth. They would be able to obtain more information. Yes, you're right. Ma Zhangxi sighed and said to the referees, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School has really taken the wrong path these past few years. The white-bearded teacher nodded and coldly laughed. In order to maintain the title of No. 1, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School's fighting style has become more and more scheming. All kinds of fancy tricks. It's not presentable. That's right. In a battle between martial artists, it's always best to be fair and square. Hidden Dragon's thinking has gone astray. The more skills you have, the more cunning you have, the less iron-blooded you will be. Another middle-aged female teacher also sighed. If this kind of student maintains this kind of mentality and goes to the battlefield in the future, they won't be able to live for more than a few days. That's why our high martial arts school has an even heavier responsibility. We need to change these bad habits during the time when the students come to the high martial arts school to cultivate. But to change these bad habits, it's not something that can be changed in a day. It will definitely delay the progress of martial arts. Another teacher almost wanted to curse out loud. Is first place really that important? Maybe for Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. First place is that important. Ma Zhangxi said thoughtfully. Yes, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School is an affiliated school of Hidden Dragon High School. Another teacher sneered. Hidden Dragon Martial Arts? Hidden Dragon Martial Arts? In the past few years, Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts has almost fallen out of the top 3 of the universities. All of their brains must be filled with shit. To be able to remain in the top 3 despite teaching their students in such a manner, they must be extremely lucky. What a pity! Back then, Senior Yi Qianlong spent a lot of effort to create the Hidden Dragon High Martial School. How glorious was that? What's the use of sighing? Of course, we still have to respect our seniors. However, when it's time to replace them, we won't let them go. It's hard for us to surpass the seniors' prowess, but can't we surpass those good-for-nothings? What a joke! When Zhuoxiao Duo returned to his seat, Wan Lixio and the others were discussing what they had seen. The atmosphere was lively, but there was still one person who had not returned. Li Chengming. The match between Shirkou No. 1 High School and Longbu No. 1 High School was still ongoing. Above them, the referees and leaders had already started a meeting to discuss the progress of the competition. No one would have thought that this round of the battle for the top 8 would be so tragic. Out of the 8 teams that had already fought, 4 of them were directly defeated. As for the remaining 2 teams, they were still fighting in an even more tragic manner. The current result was a tie of 3-3. The 2 captains were in the final battle of the 7th round. However, no matter who won or lost, these 2 teams were destined to not be able to participate in the next round of the competition. With little combat power left, what could they use to fight in the next round? So what should they do next? Zhuoxiao's Phoenix City No. 2 High School had a bye. Their strength was intact. It could be said that no matter which of the 10 teams they faced, Phoenix City No. 2 High School would definitely win. All the teams that lost were all defeated. At most, they only had 10 to 20% of their peak strength left. Therefore, Zhuoxiaoduo's team could just go through the motions and be done with it. What should we do? A group of high school teachers had a headache over the current situation. If they were to rest for a day and then fight again, it would obviously be unfair to Phoenix City No. 2 High School. They didn't get the bye by cheating. One had to know that luck was always a part of strength. Did they have to use time to erase the other team's advantage? Then what was the point of them getting the bye? After the last two teams finish fighting, we'll rest for 4 hours. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll start the second round. Call the 2 lead teachers and team members from Phoenix City. Let's give them some work. I hope they can understand. After all, an extra 4 hours of rest was still unfair to the teams that got the bye. Because as long as there were enough resources, 4 hours was enough to fully recover the strength of the participants. At least, they could recover more than half of their strength. Phoenix City No. 2 High School might have to pay a lot of unnecessary losses because of this break. However, to the surprise of the high school teachers, Phoenix City No. 2 High School didn't care about this at all. It's okay. Rest for a while. It's meaningless for us to fight a team that's already crippled. We'll just be a joke to them. Zhuoxiaoduo and the others accepted it without any hesitation. It was so quick that it was surprising and even inconceivable. The tournament committee was very pleased with Phoenix City No. 2 High School's Zhuoxiaoduo and the others' way of thinking about the big picture. After a round of praises, the matter was finally settled. 4 hours later, the 5 defeated teams and Phoenix City No. 2 High School drew lots again to determine the final 3 spots in the top 8. However, no one felt that there would be any suspense. Phoenix City No. 2 High School had strong soldiers and strong horses. Until now, they had never fought together. Every time, it was one person who defeated them. Even in the life and death arena, there was only one team leader. It could be said that they had come all the way to this point. In this kind of elimination round, no one thought that they would lose. 4 hours later, the 6 teams finally began to draw lots. Zhuoxiaoduo's team was coincidentally the garrison shop. The 2 team leaders stood on the stage for a while. The garrison shop's team leader and the other team members looked at each other and smiled. We admit defeat. This decision disappointed the people who were prepared to watch a big show. There was a slight commotion for a moment, especially the 5 teams who had already finished and won. They even gave up on recuperating and gathered around to watch the competition. Everyone knew that Phoenix City No. 2 High School would be their strongest opponent. At this moment, other than the best opportunity to understand the situation of the other party, they were also praying for the team from Phoenix City's No. 2 High School to exhaust all of their remaining strength. Use the last of your strength to whittle down the strength of No. 2 High School. In the end, just as the 2 teams finished drawing lots, the other team from Garrison Shop No. 1 High School directly admitted defeat. At this moment, the 30 people from the 5 winning teams cursed angrily in their hearts. Damn it! Tens of thousands of mythical beasts roared in their hearts at the same time. Zhuoxiaoduo was also puzzled. He immediately asked, "Thank you? Thank you for letting us win. If I have the honor to meet you in the future, I must be friends with you." The Garrison Shop's team leader laughed. Our Garrison Shop's goal is to be in the top 20. Now that we have fought until now, it has already exceeded our expectations. Actually, our biggest wish in these few years is to take down the high and mighty Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. Now, we are not strong enough, so we can't do it. Then we will place our hopes on you. As inevitable allies, no matter who we meet in this battle, we will not linger. We will not be a burden to our allies. He laughed and began to introduce his team members. I am Meng Zhongjun. This is the vice team leader, Hao Han. This is the team flower, Zhen Piapiao. This is Zhang Haonan. This is Feng Junqing. This is Jia Kuang. The 6 of us. We are all military families and children of military personnel. Meng Zhongjun and the other 5 stood together and saluted. Congratulations to Phoenix City No. 2 High School for winning the first battle and slaying the hidden dragon. Zhuoxiaoduo's face turned serious. He shouted, "Everyone!" Li Chenglong and the others immediately lined up neatly and saluted at the same time. We will do our best. We will not let you down. The 12 of them bowed to each other and laughed loudly. Then, Meng Zhongjun waved his hand and led his team members out of the arena calmly. There was not the slightest bit of dejection. However, on the other side, none of the 5 victorious teams looked happy. Especially those from Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. Their faces looked as if they had just eaten shit. Damned Garrison Shop. The 6 people from Hidden Dragon cursed. They didn't even try to hide their emotions anymore. When they fought against us, they fought with their lives on the line, not hesitating to perish together with us. Both sides suffered great losses, causing us so much damage. Now that they're facing someone else, they don't even fight. This group of bastards, their intentions are worthy of death. That afternoon, the top 8 emerged victorious. The rankings were as follows: Phoenix City No. 2 High School, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School, Water City No. 1 High School, Yangluo No. 1 High School, Fenghai No. 3 High School, Songshan No. 1 High School, Phoenix Tail No. 1 High School, Dragon Belly No. 1 High School. Originally, Phoenix City No. 2 High School had a bye. According to the tournament rules, they shouldn't have been able to return to first place no matter what. However, when they faced Garrison Shop No. 1 High School, the other side chose to forfeit, allowing Phoenix City No. 2 High School to take all 4 points. Combined with their previous results, their total points were still the highest among all the teams. They were still ahead of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. This luck, they didn't fight for 2 rounds in a row and didn't suffer any losses. They were still in first place. That afternoon they drew lots. The 8 captains from Phoenix City No. 2 High School all took turns. This time, everyone learned their lesson and greeted the teacher first. However, the teacher's face darkened and he didn't say anything. When it was Zhuoxiaoduo's turn, Zhuoxiaoduo didn't greet him. He only smiled sweetly. The teacher actually took the initiative to greet him with a pleasant expression. Good luck, Zhuoxiaoduo. The other captains held their breaths in their chests. They only felt stuffy. What do you want us to do? Should we greet him or not? Last time, we didn't greet him and he scolded us. Zhuoxiaoduo greeted him and he was praised. This time, we greeted him first and his face darkened. Zhuoxiaoduo didn't greet him, but as the teacher, you actually took the initiative to encourage him. What do you want us to do? They were so angry that they trembled. Chapter 340. This time, Zhuoxiaoduo purposely slowed down a bit. He waited for the other 7 people to finish before he picked up the remaining lot. At the extreme of the top 8, they would all meet strong teams. No matter who they drew, it would be the same. Zhuoxiaoduo didn't want to pick soft persimmons. On the contrary, he wanted to draw the strongest team, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. He wanted to defeat this most threatening opponent first. After drawing the lot, the captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School suddenly raised his head and looked at Zhuoxiaoduo, who was holding the lot in his hand without even looking at it. He suddenly asked loudly, "Captain Zhuoxiaoduo, why aren't you looking at the lot?" Zhuoxiaoduo held the lot in his hand and put it behind his back. He said calmly, "We are in the top 8. Any team is a strong opponent. No matter who we draw, it will be a tough battle. What difference does it make whether I look at it or not?" The captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School said calmly, "I have been looking forward to fighting against Phoenix City No. 2 High School." Zhuoxiaoduo said calmly. One was keeping him in suspense, while the other was not interested at all. The 2 of them couldn't even read each other's lips. They were like chickens talking to ducks. The captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School expected to be asked, "What's the result of the lot draw?" However, Zhuoxiaoduo didn't ask, which made it difficult for him to continue the conversation. The captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School had prepared himself mentally. He just narrowed his eyes and continued the conversation. However, he said, "I am very happy. The next battle will be between you and us." Zhuoxiaoduo said, "You put us in front of you. Do you think you will lose for sure?" "You will lose for sure." "Huh? So you will lose for sure?" "Yes, we will win for sure." "Yes, you are right. We will win for sure." Zhuoxiaoduo sighed, yawned, and said, "How boring. You call yourself a captain? You can't even speak clearly. You keep repeating yourself incoherently. Let's go, brothers. Let's go back and rest. What do you think we should do tomorrow?" Long Yuxing and the others roared in unison, "Kill hidden dragon." Ha! Zhuoxiaoduo beamed with delight. With a wave of his hand, the 6 of them left the arena in a single file. He didn't even give the other party a chance to speak. The members of the Hidden Dragon clan also wanted to shout like that to boost their morale. However, the other party left right after shouting and did not stay for even a moment. If he did not shout now, he would only appear weak and sullen. However, if he shouted now, his opponent was no longer around at all. They shouted for us to hear, and then we shouted for the air to hear? They couldn't help but hold back their anger. After holding it in for a long time, they finally roared, "Victory! Victory!" Then he left the stage unhappily. At the judging panel, all the referees and teachers had amiable smiles on their faces as they danced in joy. This captain of Phoenix City's No. 2 high school is really something. A teacher clicked his tongue in wonder. Not bad, not bad. This tactic was used beautifully. It was done with ease and with reason. First, it was to pester the other party endlessly. Then, the whole team roared and immediately left the stage. They didn't give the other party any chance to vent. This caused all the members of the other party to hold back their anger and not be able to vent. This anger will definitely be suppressed for an entire night. Let's not talk about the impact on their morale. If the Hidden Dragon clan can't adjust their mentality tonight, not only will they not be able to rest well, their mood will also be affected the next day. Just from weakening the other party's morale, attacking the other party's fighting spirit, and weakening the other party's fighting strength, it can be said to be a considerable success. This Zhuoxiaoduo is not only honest, sincere, reliable, intelligent, and awe-inspiring. Even the use of strategy and tactics is extremely ingenious. It's really hard to come by. He's a talent that will last forever. Teacher Ding Xiulan of Shangjing's Ancestral Dragon High School liked Zhuoxiaoduo very much. She didn't hide it at all. The others rolled their eyes. Although we also wanted to say that, "You said it first. Why did it sound so weird to me?" Hu Ruoyun's face was distorted. She laughed a little unnaturally. Every time I hear them praise Zhuoxiaoduo, awe-inspiring, honest, and sincere. Why do I feel so guilty? That night, Zhuoxiaoduo and the others had a good sleep. They didn't even do their daily cultivation. They slept soundly the whole time. They slept until dawn. They walked out of the room energetically and had breakfast. Then, Zhuoxiaoduo began to chase them away. "Did you go to the toilet? Big or small? Who would want to do that? Go quickly. Li Zhongming, are you still sleepy today? Li Chenglong, your hemorrhoids have healed? Xiu, your relatives didn't come today, right?" Li Chenglong and Wan Li Xiu were furious. "You're the one who has hemorrhoids. I don't have hemorrhoids." Li Chenglong scolded. "You're the one who has relatives. Your whole family has relatives." Wan Li Xiu was embarrassed and angry. She wanted to kill someone on the spot. Well, if it wasn't for the fact that she knew she couldn't win, she would have done it countless times. "Ha! Let's go!" Zhuoxiaoduo waved his hand. The 6 of them followed Hu Ruoyun and Luo Lai out of the hotel and went straight to the arena. The early morning sun shone on the faces of the 6 of them. It dyed their bodies golden and brilliant. 8 o'clock in the morning. The first arena. There were 6 chairs on each side. After entering the top 8, they had the basic preferential treatment. They didn't have to sit on the ground anymore. There were chairs to sit on, and they could see everyone on their side from the opposite side. With the start of the match, Zhuoxiaoduo took the lead and jumped out. His tall and handsome figure was tall and straight. The eyes of the opposite side lit up. The captain of the Hidden Dragon team stood up and looked at them from afar. He revealed a confident smile. The opponent is Zhuoxiaoduo. As the captain, he jumped out first. Since that's the case, I will cripple him. I will take the first step and destroy their morale. Naturally, he couldn't wait to jump out. But I'm the captain of Hidden Dragon Team 1, Shimen Duqing. Please enlighten me, Captain Zhuoxiaoduo. Shimen-Dacheng's face was solemn. He clasped his hands and bowed. Zuoxiao Duo was stunned. You're the captain for the first match? That's right. Shimen-Dacheng nodded and grinned. As the captain, it's natural for me to take the first victory. Zuoxiao Duo nodded. I admire you, but you have to wait for a while. This time, I'm not in a hurry to start the match. I just want to introduce my team members. Also, I'm not the first to fight. Please wait patiently. Shimen-Dacheng's face suddenly turned purple. He was stunned. You're not the first to fight? Then why did you jump out? However, he had admitted that he was going to fight in front of everyone. It was too late to change his words. He had obviously fallen into a trap. He was so angry that he wanted to swallow Zuoxiao Duo. Zuoxiao Duo, are you playing with me? Playing with you? Zuoxiao Duo looked at him suspiciously. He sized him up and said, You don't have that organ. How can I play with you? Suddenly, his face turned pale. He took a step back and shook his head. I'll say this first. I won't take the back door. I'm a righteous person. Shimen-Dacheng was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Countless spectators were stunned for a while. Then they burst out laughing. At the judges' table. 3 of the judges at this table came from the 3 famous schools. Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts, Ancestral Dragon High Martial Arts, and Yunduan High Martial Arts. Ancestral Dragon High Martial Arts Ding Xiulan laughed and said, This temperament is not on the same level. Look at how angry the captain of Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts is. Sigh, poor kid. He's so angry before the fight even started. Even if they're evenly matched, once he loses his state of mind, the chances of him losing will be higher. Unless there's an overwhelming difference in strength. Another person, a teacher from Yunduan High Martial Arts, smiled and said, Zuoxiao Duo has already angered him to this extent. How can he give him a chance to calm down? However, if Zuoxiao Duo doesn't fight, it's basically impossible for the other little guys to defeat Shimen-Dacheng. This battle is not so much a battle of attrition. It's better to call it a battle of display. The other teachers smiled and nodded. This sentence was true. Zuoxiao Duo had shown enough. This was giving the other students a chance to show off. And the strongest opponent, Shimen-Dacheng, was a touchstone. Because of Shimen-Dacheng's cultivation, the teachers knew better. In Zuoxiao's heart, it's already beyond the scope of victory and defeat. This kid is really good. Almost all the teachers had this thought in their minds. Sure enough, Zuoxiao Duo laughed and said, Since you're in such a hurry and can't wait, then I won't be in a hurry to introduce our members, so as not to waste your time. Li Zhongming fight. Li Zhongming shouted and jumped out with a whoosh. He took a few big steps forward. He raised his head and roared, I'm Li Zhongming from Phoenix City's 2nd High School. Today, I'm going to fight to the death. I won't stop until my blood runs dry. He pounded his chest with both hands and roared ferociously like a chimpanzee. He looked unusually agitated. On the other side, Shimen-Dacheng was so angry at Zuoxiao Duo that his mouth was crooked and his eyes were slanted. How could he not know that he had been tricked? But he had already come out. If he went back, it would only be more embarrassing. When he saw that the other party had only sent a small fry, he became even angrier. He was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. With a clear ring, the bell suddenly rang. The battle began. The moment the bell rang, Shimen-Dacheng's body soared into the air like a dragon and rushed toward Li Zhongming. End the battle quickly. Li Zhongming shouted loudly. His body shook violently. However, he raised his hand in a split second, and a white mist suddenly rushed out. It directly sprayed Shimen-Dacheng, who was rushing all over his face. Shimen-Dacheng was shocked. He hurriedly held his breath, but the white mist had already sprayed on his face. It was really a large area of indiscriminate contact. He hurriedly landed on the ground and asked angrily, You used poison? Li Zhongming rolled his eyes and said, If you don't know anything, then say you don't know anything. Have you seen such a high-grade poison? Besides, even if I used poison, so what? Did the rules of the competition say that poison is not allowed? Shimen-Dacheng shouted and no longer spoke. He rushed over for the second time. Li Zhongming turned around and ran around the arena. He ran in circles as much as he could, but he didn't want to fight Shimin Daqing head-on. Shimin Daqing used his highest speed to chase, block, and attack. Several attacks had already landed on Li Zhongming's body, but Li Zhongming completely ignored them and continued to run happily. "Why are you running? Make a move and fight." Shimin Daqing said angrily, "Are you here to fucking race?" The moment he opened his mouth, Li Zhongming suddenly stopped and flipped his hand. Poof! Another wave of white mist greeted him. And when this wave of white mist came, he pounced forward. Fist and leg met, and he exchanged a few blows with Shimin Daqing. Then, with a pu sound, he spat out a mouthful of blood and turned around to run again. Unfortunately, he ran a little too slowly. With a crack, one of his arms was broken by Shimin Daqing. Shimin Daqing gave chase again, but suddenly felt sleepy. As he ran, he couldn't help but yawn. He couldn't help but feel strange. Even if he didn't sleep well last night, he shouldn't be sleepy in the morning. Moreover, it was in this kind of fierce battle where his blood and qi were surging. He was thinking about it when suddenly, another wave of white mist rushed over. At this moment, Shimin Daqing was sure that this white mist wasn't poisonous. There was a high chance that it was just a trick. Without hesitation, he rushed through the white mist. With a flying kick, he kicked Li Zhongming, who was running in front of him, and sent him rolling on the ground. Then, he felt his head become foggy. He became more and more sleepy, and his eyelids were fighting. His head became more and more confused, and he became muddle-headed, so sleepy. As for Li Zhongming, who was in front of him, it was unknown when he started to show signs of drowsiness and confusion. Gradually, the two of them, one in front and one behind, one chasing after the other, ran half a lap as if they were sleepwalking, that they fell to the ground at the same time, sprawled out, and fell asleep. Looking for monthly votes, recommendation votes, subscriptions. 6 updates. Chapter 341. Li Chongming's snores were deafening. On the other side, Shimin Daqing was also snoring non-stop. Huff huff, huff huff, huff huff huff. Shimin Daqing seemed to have entered a state of deep sleep. As he slept, he snored. After a while, he began to grind his teeth. Suddenly, he turned over and let out an unusually loud fart. A stench instantly filled the air. It was actually a loud and smelly super fart. This Shimin Daqing looked like a talented person, but his sleeping posture was actually so bad. Grinding teeth, snoring, farting, whistling, it was really not lacking. That handsome image of a tree in the wind suddenly disappeared. This caused everyone present to be astonished, amused, and confused. What was going on? Why did the two of them fall asleep while they were fighting? But the judges did not say anything and just watched them sleep. Could it be there was something else going on? On the stage, the 6 judges' faces were incomparably solemn, unprecedentedly solemn. Great Dream Divine Technique. It's actually the Great Dream Divine Technique. Ding Xiulan's eyes were shining. How old is this kid? He has already cultivated the Great Dream Divine Technique to the peak of the 2nd level? To be able to pull people into a dream in the middle of a battle. Huff huff. Great Dream Divine Technique. It is said that this technique has long been in decline. For a long time, no one has been able to endure the difficult cultivation of the first few levels. Who is this kid? His surname is Li? He doesn't look very old, but he actually. A teacher from Yunduan High Martial Arts School stared wide-eyed. He was so shocked that he could not speak coherently. A peerless genius. Another judge sighed softly. Another peerless genius. This kid, looking at his facial features, he is definitely not more than 20 years old. Definitely not more than 20 years old. The eyes of all the high martial arts teachers lit up. The Great Dream Divine Technique that had not appeared in the world for a long time was actually cultivated by someone. Moreover, it was cultivated to the small success level. Don't talk, there are changes. Ding Xiulan's face was solemn. On the stage, the 2 people who were snoring just now had a change in expression. Li Chongming's face became serious and nervous. Shimin Daqing's face also became terrifying, manic, and ruthless. The battle in the dream has officially begun. Sigh, what a pity. Ding Xiulan sighed again and again. Li Zhongming was first injured, and then one of his arms was broken by Shimin Duqing. The outcome of this battle is uncertain. If the gap between the two of them was slightly smaller, Shimin Duqing, who had fallen into the dream of the other side's main battlefield, would have been crushed. What a pity. This is something that can't be helped. This Li Zhongming must have suppressed his own cultivation progress and realm many times. His foundation is much stronger than that of a normal student. However, Shimin Duqing has also suppressed his own realm. Moreover, Shimin Duqing's real cultivation is at the pinnacle of the embryonic breathing realm. Li Zhongming is only at the innate realm. Another teacher sighed. Just being able to drag Shimin Duqing into the dreamscape is already a miracle. The expressions of the two people who were lying down and sleeping changed again. Li Zhongming's face revealed a pained expression, while Shimin Duqing grimaced, giving off a feeling of gnashing his teeth. It was rare for anyone to see the battle between the two in the dream, but anyone could see that the battle between the two had reached a critical moment. Such a battle atmosphere was definitely much more dangerous than what could be seen with the naked eye. Suddenly, Li Zhongming's expression changed. Fresh blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, instantly dyeing the ground red. Shimin Duqing, who was opposite him, also groaned. Traces of blood slowly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Zhou Xiaoduo's gaze was like an eagle's, watching the battle without blinking. After a while, Li Zhongming groaned. His body curled up, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood foam from the corner of his mouth. Shimin Duqing, who was opposite him, also groaned and started to spit out large mouthfuls of blood. Shimin Duqing is going to lose. Ding Xiulan sighed. Li Zhongming is undoubtedly a genius for being able to do this. It's a pity that if he wins this battle, I'm afraid his vitality will be damaged and his path of martial arts will be severed. The other teachers were also understanding people. They all sighed and nodded. On the other side, Zhou Xiaoduo, who had been paying attention to the battle, saw Li Zhongming spit out blood foam. When he took a closer look, his expression changed. He jumped out and said, "We admit defeat for this battle." Before he finished speaking, he rushed in front of Li Zhongming and slapped his dantian. He pried open his mouth and threw a pill in. Then he poured a basin of ice water that he had prepared earlier on Li Zhongming's head. Then with a slap, he slapped Li Zhongming's buttocks heavily. This slap on the buttocks was loud and crisp. It directly resounded through the entire arena. It was extremely pleasing to the eye. Even though many people knew that this might be a necessary process and that the intention was to save someone, they still couldn't help but laugh out loud. Some people laughed while thinking, how fleshy is this buttocks to be able to make such a crisp sound that it echoed through the entire arena? Li Zhongming slowly woke up. When he saw Zhou Xiaoduo, he spat out another mouthful of blood. He asked expectantly, "Did I win?" "I admit defeat for you." Li Zhongming panicked. "Then why did you wake me up? Give me half a minute and I'll definitely drag him to death. At the very least, both of us will be injured. Then you'll be crippled for the rest of your life." "It's not worth it," Zhou Xiaoduo explained faintly. Then he dragged Li Zhongming back. After walking a few steps, he said, "If you follow my method, you can wake Shimin Duqing up. I'm a decent person. If I really don't like that, then I won't personally save him. I don't want to be blamed. In this world, there are all kinds of people." Li Zhongming was still in pain when he returned to his seat. He was so depressed that he kept muttering to himself, "I've embarrassed the old principal. I've embarrassed Second High." Blood and tears rolled down from the corner of his mouth. He wasn't putting on an act. He was truly heartbroken. Phoenix City's Second High had dominated the Longhu ranking battle. Until now, they had won one victory after another. Their only defeat had actually happened at his hands. Little Fatty's heart was extremely pained. "Your defeat can't be considered a defeat. You've contributed greatly and will be the cornerstone of our victory today." Zhou Xiaoduo said faintly, "You've killed the person with the highest combat power among them. At the very least, his soul is severely injured. He won't be able to recover in a few days. Even if there are 100 more nourishment chambers, it won't be able to recover his soul quickly. I should have stopped you when you spat out the first mouthful of blood. However, if I did that, the price they paid would be too small. It wouldn't match your contribution. That's why I waited until now to stop. Although your injuries are more serious, you've directly crippled the opponent's highest combat power. I'm not lying when I say that you can't be considered a defeat. If you win this battle, you'll be the champion of the Longhu ranking battle. Your contribution will be the greatest. Zhuo Duo said in a low voice. Li Zhongming said with tears in his eyes, "Don't comfort me. If I really steal your contribution, you'll definitely beat me up. It's not like I don't know. You like to settle scores after the autumn." Wan Li Xiu, Long Yuxing, and the others, who were squeezing over to comfort him, all spat out a mouthful of saliva. Zhuo Duo was stunned. After a while, he said, "Then you can cry. Cry until you die." "I won't cry anymore." Li Zhongming wiped his tears and stopped crying. "You just said that if we win this battle, I'll be the one with the greatest contribution. I'll be the champion in the end. You can't deny this." Everyone heard it. Zhuo Duo rolled his eyes and remained silent for a long time. Li Chenglong muttered to himself, "Does this count as Li Zhongming sleeping with Shiminduqing? Will the little fatty take responsibility?" Suddenly, this topic aroused everyone's interest. "Hey, you're right. Li Zhongming, this scumbag, seems like he's not going to take responsibility. Poor Shiminduqing, he was slept with for nothing. Scumbag. Li Zhongming." Li Zhongming's face twisted. He really didn't have the strength to argue. Otherwise, he would definitely beat them up. At the referee's seat, a few high martial arts teachers watched as Zhuo Duo dragged the person down and watched the people from Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School save the captain. After a long time, they looked at each other with strange gazes. Not bad. The 6 judges all looked at Zhuo Duo and Li Zhongming's side. Their eyes were full of praise. Although Phoenix City No. 2 High School admitted defeat in this battle. However, there were simply too many things that were worth pondering over. In the dreamland created by the Great Dream Divine Technique, Li Zhongming was the absolute home ground. Even if his physical body was injured and his cultivation was limited, it seemed like he was at a disadvantage. As long as he continued to fight in the dreamland, Li Zhongming's advantage would only increase. Once it reached the point of life and death, the one who would die in the end would definitely be Shiminduqing. This was already decided from the moment he was pulled into the dreamland. Of course, Li Zhongming, who went to extremes, wouldn't have a good ending. He was still forcing himself to enter the dreamland to kill people. The price he would have to pay in the end was very likely to be the end of his cultivation, with no way forward. But no matter what, in terms of winning or losing, Li Zhongming was still the winner. And Zhuo Duo admitted defeat before his life was in danger. Just when Shiminduqing's soul was confirmed to have been damaged and his internal organs burst and spat out blood just when Li Zhongming was about to kill his opponent. He admitted defeat. The teachers were all asking themselves, if it were me, would I call for a stop at this time? After thinking about it, they couldn't make up their minds. But the more it was like this, the more reliable Zhuo Duo seemed. Because in Zhuo Duo's eyes, what they cared about was worthless. What he cared about was his brother's life and future. Such a person was definitely worth entrusting his back to at any time. It's not that he didn't care about winning or losing. It's also not that he couldn't bear to kill Shiminduqing. He just cared more about his brother's injuries. He knew that he would win if he continued fighting, but he would rather admit defeat to ensure Li Zhongming's safety. He wouldn't hurt his foundation and have a limitless future. This kind of breadth of mind is worthy of a toast. Ding Xiulan's eyes were shining as she glanced at Zhuo Duo. But she pursed her lips and didn't say anything, which was rare. This kind of talent must be recruited. Talents and geniuses were different. Geniuses were aptitudes, but talents were all-round. The matter of recruiting people to the school had to be carried out quietly. It had to be settled once the hammer fell. If there was a disturbance and new problems arose, it would be bound to be a long night with many dreams. At that time, it would be hard to say who would emerge victorious. They had to enter the village quietly. Don't shoot. Chapter 342. The referee from Hidden Dragon High School had a gloomy expression. He looked at Shimin Duching, who had vomited a few mouthfuls of blood and fainted again. His eyes were filled with unconcealable disappointment. But when he looked at Zhuoxiao Duo, his gaze became more and more fervent. These years, Hidden Dragon High School has been getting more and more biased. The iron and blood aura is getting thinner and thinner, the wind of the big picture is getting weaker and weaker, and the air of a king is getting weaker and weaker. We really need a good leader. And this Zhuoxiao Duo is ruthless to the outside but protective of the inside. He will not be soft-hearted when he needs to be, and he will not hesitate when he needs to give up. The rarest thing is that he values friendship and righteousness, and he is especially steady when looking at the big picture. He is an honest and sincere person, and has a pure heart. He is a good candidate for a king. If Hidden Dragon High School carefully nurtures him, he might be able to turn the bad wind around and turn the rotten into the spring breeze. The more the teacher thought, the hotter his gaze towards Zhuoxiao Duo. Originally, the focus of Hidden Dragon High School's enrollment had always been on Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. This way, they could guarantee that the people they brought out would always be their own people, and they would not have to worry about other forces. But in recent years, Hidden Dragon High School's image had been getting worse and worse, and their external results were getting worse and worse. The feedback from the students who went out was also not very good. Hidden Dragon High School's image could be said to have plummeted. Many old stubborn people were still carrying out the current policy, and they felt that there was nothing wrong with their insistence. But there were already many teachers who were thinking of changing. Zhuoxiao Duo looked at the aura of the people on the other side carefully and said, "Next, you can fight as you wish. As long as they don't send out the vice-captain and the two girls. We can win one match and even the score." Li Chenglong was a little worried and said, "What if they send out? Are we going to lose another match?" "It doesn't matter if they do. At most, we will lose another match. It won't affect the big picture." Zhuoxiao Duo laughed arrogantly, "I will go up and beat the rest of them in one go. Once we are done, we can call it a day." Li Chenglong rolled his eyes and said, "Then I will go up." "Yes, that's good. Remember this, and your chances of winning will increase." Zhuoxiao Duo lowered his voice and said, "They've been sparring more than fighting. Their life and death experience is far inferior to ours." Li Chenglong's eyes lit up. "Understood." In the previous match, Hidden Dragon High School was the first to fight, and Li Zhongming was the one to fight. Although they lost, it was a glorious defeat. But this time, it was Phoenix City's second high school's turn to fight first. Li Chenglong took a step forward, and the other side began to discuss. Li Chenglong smiled faintly. "My name is Li Chenglong. I come from Phoenix City's second high school. I am the vice-captain of our team." The self-introduction was complete. Everyone knows each other's information by heart. Is there a need to discuss for so long? Opposite. After a round of discussion, a slender and elegant girl in white stood out. Her facial features were exquisite, and her clothes were as white as snow. Her long hair fluttered in the wind. She was very beautiful. Hidden Dragon High School, Xiang Bing. The two of them bowed to each other. "Please." Zhuoxiao Duo called out from behind, "Feng Feng. Don't be mesmerized by her beauty. Even if you like her, wait until the fight is over. Only the winner has the right to talk." Xiang Bing's face turned red. She looked at Li Chenglong with a bit of anger in her eyes. Li Chenglong still wanted to explain, but the other side's attacks were already coming at him like a storm. Feng Feng steeled his heart, but he did not dodge or evade. Instead, he charged forward with brute force. In this match, both sides did not use any weapons. They were fighting in close quarters. Xiang Bing did not use any weapons, so naturally Li Chenglong did not use any. Only the sound of banging could be heard, one after another. The other side looked like a quiet and delicate girl, but she was actually fierce and frightening when fighting. However, Li Chenglong had been trained by Zhuoxiao Duo. His skin was rough and his flesh was thick. His resistance was far better than ordinary people. He managed to hold on all the way. This round of fighting lasted for a full 3 to 4 minutes. The sound of drums kept ringing. Finally, after a deep muffled sound, both of them somersaulted and stood facing each other. Zhuoxiao Duo spat out what he saw. Li Chenglong's nose was bruised and his face was swollen. His eyes were black and blue. His mouth was cracked and blood was flowing out. On the other hand, the beautiful woman in front of him was also disheveled. She had 2 panda eyes, and her hair was disheveled. Her nose was broken, and it looked a little flat. Her small mouth was swollen from the beating, and the skin on the other side was broken. Chest, lower abdomen, thighs. There were 7 to 8 black footprints on her white clothes. There were also overlapping ones. Li Chenglong was rubbing his wrists, while Xiang Bing was moving her ankles. Both of them stared at each other, as if they were looking at a mortal enemy. Zhuoxiao Duo was not the only one who was stunned. Even the audience in the audience were all spitting out their mouths. Even the referees were stunned. To be honest, even with their vast experience and knowledge, they had seen many men and women fighting. However, it was the first time in their lives that they had seen such a fierce fight between a man and a woman. Li Chenglong did not know what it meant to have tender feelings for the fairer sex. He did not know what it meant to treat a beautiful girl well. Her face, neck, nose, chest, lower abdomen, thighs, and buttocks. He really hit wherever he could. He did not show any mercy at all. If it were other men, who would not have a manly demeanor, who would have the nerve to punch another person's beautiful face? It was better to chop off a woman's head than to ruin her face. This was almost a convention. Ancestral Dragon High Martial Arts teacher Ding Xiulan sighed. This kid is actually the legendary Iron Straight Man. He belongs to the category of Iron Straight Men. If he finds a wife, she will be his punching bag. The few male teachers were also thinking in their hearts. If Li Chenglong came to their school, they might really have to take care of the problem of finding a partner. Otherwise, looking at his behavior today, he would definitely be a bachelor for the rest of his life. One must know that this competition was broadcasted live nationwide. Li Chenglong became famous in an instant. He was even more famous than Zhuoxiao Duo. Zhuoxiao Duo directly beat the beauty to death. Many people online who did not know the truth scolded him. Such a beauty was beaten to death just like that? It was too wasteful. Did he not know how to take advantage of the situation? However, when it came to Li Chenglong, the internet was boiling. My mother asked me why I was kneeling while watching the live broadcast. Because I found a rare Iron Straight Man. Legendary level is not enough to describe him. Only mythical level can describe him. What a fucking straight man. Oh my god. This girl's face is not enough for me to kiss for a year. He directly disfigured her. Look at the footprint on her chest. Oh my god, can you feel the soles of your shoes? Her pair of phoenix eyes were beaten into pandas. Her cherry lips became a ripe watermelon. Tiske, this big brother, I'm kneeling to you. This kid even tore her hair. Fuck, look carefully. The beauty's ear. Fuck, this kid tore her ear. He almost tore it off. Let's talk about it later. They're fighting again. They're fighting again. Everyone hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound. They saw that the Iron Straight Man once again launched an attack and fought with Miss Xiang Bing for the second time. The muffled sounds of fists hitting flesh were heard almost continuously. Blood splattered everywhere. Looking at her current appearance, no matter how outstanding Xiang Bing's talent was, or how strong her cultivation was, she was now an ugly monster. She was really beaten up too badly. The two of them continued to fight in this most extreme way until they were exhausted. Only then did the speed of their punches slow down. Every time there was a bang, everyone in the audience, including the audience who were watching the live broadcast, could not help but feel their hearts skip a beat. They all had a subtle feeling that they did not want to watch, but they could not let it go. In the end, the two of them were no longer fighting. They were competing to see who could take more hits. Admit defeat. Li Chenglong fiercely punched Xiang Bing's originally perky but now bloody nose. His expression was unprecedentedly ferocious. I really don't want to hit a woman. As soon as this sentence came out, everyone felt a toothache. You fucking. Haven't you hit enough? If you want to hit a woman, how are you going to hit her? Dismembering him by 1,000 cuts and tearing him into pieces? Go to hell. Xiang Bing fiercely rushed forward. Li Chenglong roared. His bloodied face twisted with a ferocious expression. His whole body rushed forward and actually knocked Xiang Bing to the ground 7 or 8 meters away. Then, Li Chenglong pounced forward. His whole body crossed the 7 or 8 meters distance. With the force of a mountain, he suddenly pressed on Xiang Bing's body. His 2 legs skillfully twisted and separated, separating Xiang Bing's legs. Then, he used his body to press down on her body. Panting heavily, he roared, "Do you admit defeat? Do you admit defeat?" Xiang Bing struggled desperately, but Li Chenglong simply grabbed both of her hands and pressed them on both sides of her head. Then, he lowered his head and roared, "Do you admit defeat? Do you admit defeat?" Xiang Bing struggled desperately and shouted, "Even if I die, I won't admit defeat." Li Chenglong freed one hand and punched Xiang Bing's face. "Do you admit defeat? Do you admit defeat? Do you admit defeat?" With a shout, he punched again. Another punch. Another punch. All of them smashed on the originally beautiful face with great force. "Do you admit defeat? Do you admit defeat?" "Wah!" Xiang Bing cried. Suddenly, she gave up all of her struggles and wailed. "You bully!" This sudden cry stunned Li Chenglong. This punch did not hit her face, but hit the ring beside her head. He said in a daze, "Why are you crying? We were having a good match. You actually cried. Why are you crying? Why are you crying?" You actually have the face to ask her why she is crying? Countless men who were watching the live broadcast banged their heads against the wall. A wave of speechless emotions surged in their hearts and gushed out, but they could not say anything. "I'm so angry. I'm so angry. This straight man bro, please be merciful and let me go." Chapter 343. She was a top-notch beauty, yet he had beaten her until she was unrecognizable. Then, he had posed in such a typical position of rape that she was already powerless to fight back, yet he still wanted to punch her again and again. And he didn't allow her to cry. That was awesome. That was really too awesome. That train of thought was admirable. The eyebrows of the few judges twitched wildly. Without saying anything, they hurriedly announced, "In this battle, Phoenix City Second High School's Li Chenglong wins." On the ground, Xiang Bing was still lying limply on the ground, crying loudly. Li Chenglong was still riding on her. He was about to stand up when he heard the announcement. However, the moment he relaxed, Xiang Bing scratched his face crazily. "Fuck." Li Chenglong hurriedly pressed down again, suppressing the person beneath him for the second time. With swollen eyes, he shouted in a sorry state, "Someone quickly come and get her off. I don't hit women." Everyone was speechless and speechless. Just this battle, which lasted less than 10 minutes, had made Li Chenglong famous on the internet. Famous all over the country. He was respectfully called Brother Iron and Steel by millions of netizens. Moreover, each of them swore to the heavens that in this lifetime, there wouldn't be a second man who could be steadier than Brother Iron and Steel. Countless people worshipped him as their idol. Only when another girl in white from the opposing team came to support Xiang Bing did Li Chenglong dare to let go. He was still on guard, afraid of being attacked a second time. When his swollen eyes swept across the other girl in white and he was about to say something, the girl in white, who was also in the embryonic breathing realm, actually shuddered. Her pretty face instantly lost its color, and her eyes were full of panic. She hurriedly carried Xiang Bing and ran away like a wisp of smoke. She probably wouldn't run away even if she saw a ghost. Li Chenglong. Xiang Bing was still struggling in the girl's arms. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws while crying loudly, "Li Chenglong. Sob sob, just you wait. I won't let you off in this lifetime." Li Chenglong stood on the spot blankly. He scratched his head and advised, "Miss, why are you so concerned? It's just a competition." Xiang Bing cried even louder. Li Chenglong returned to the team and received a hero's welcome. Zhuoxiao Duo, Long Yuxing Yumoyan, and Li Zhangming all bowed deeply in unison. They looked completely convinced and impressed. Boss Li, I've never been convinced by anyone in my life, but this time, all of us are completely convinced by you. I'm convinced. Really? The expressions of the four of them were extremely solemn. They shook their heads and sighed, feeling ashamed of their inferiority. All of this came from the bottom of their hearts. Tell me about your thoughts. Thoughts? Li Chenglong was swaying, and his mind was a little muddled. I think it's all thanks to Zhua beating me up every day. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to last this round. As he spoke, he had already walked to the side of the group. Suddenly, his vision turned black and Li Chenglong fainted. In this round, to be honest, Swollen was also beaten up very badly. Li Chenglong's opponent's real strength was always one whole level higher than his. The whole process was a head-on melee combat. Other than testing each other's ability to resist attacks, it was also a competition of real attack power. All the skills and techniques were almost completely useless in this battle. It was like two bulls smashing into each other and hammering each other. If you beat me, you win. If I beat you, I win. There was no shortcut. Xiang Bing was already prepared before the battle. She had an elemental energy elixir under her tongue. Li Chenglong did the same. Both of them used up the two elemental energy elixirs that could instantly replenish their vitality. It was just that extreme that was why the battle was so tragic. It's understandable that I came up with such a strategy for Swollen. But why did the opponent choose such a strategy? It doesn't make sense either. Zhuo Duo was really puzzled. Letting a girl use this kind of close combat method, wasn't the organizer of the opposing team too brainless? Little did he know that Xiang Bing was the descendant of the ancient martial arts family, the Xiang family. Her family passed down the Overlord Fist, which was best known for close combat. Although Xiang Bing was a girl, she was known for her valiance when it came to fighting. She never used any weapons. No matter what enemy she met, she would clench her fists and fight. The Overlord Fist focused on momentum. As long as the opponent showed any signs of fear or dodging, the rhythm would be immediately controlled by the opponent. Then, little by little, the advantage would be accumulated, and the advantage would be turned into a victory. In the end, it would be unstoppable. But today, when she met Li Chenglong, she met her nemesis. Li Chenglong did not plan to use any techniques from the beginning. He directly used the battle formation and the strategy of the brave winning in a narrow path. Without dodging or evading, it was a strong attack that went straight for the center. Then, there was an extreme situation where the two sides attacked each other, using strength to fight strength. As a result, Xiang Bing, a beauty who scored more than 90 points, was beaten up by Li Chenglong until her face was disfigured. This brother iron did not have any scruples at all. Eyes, nose, face, small mouth, soft breasts, long legs that none of them could escape Li Chenglong's merciless attacks. Swollen's thoughts were simple. I want to win the competition. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I'll take care of you. Even if you're beautiful, you're not going to be my wife. Why should I give in to you? Besides, didn't they say that men and women were equal? Today, I'll be completely equal and treat everyone equally. After this battle, there was a short period of silence. Even the spectator stands were silent for a long time. Everyone was reflecting on the battle just now, and a thoughtful look appeared on their faces. The 6 judges looked at each other. Everyone felt that they had not woken up from the atmosphere of being struck by lightning. This Li Chenglong. His reputation is completely ruined. One of the high martial arts teachers smacked his lips and said regretfully, "It's a pity if he doesn't have a future. How about this, our Dragon Soul High Martial Arts special recruit? We can't possibly give up eating because of choking and delay a child." "In your dreams?" The other teachers roared angrily. Who said that he could not have a ruined reputation? If such a steely straight man was placed in the school, he would definitely shatter the dreams of those girls who had a serious princess syndrome and thought that they should be treated well because they were beautiful. Who said that they did not want him? We need him too much. On the spectator stand, Luo Lai's eyes were wide open. He was dumbstruck as he watched. After a long while, he took a deep breath and shook his head repeatedly. Luo Lai, really can't teach such a student. Qin Fongyang is really awesome. Pu Ruiyun also had a look of amazement on her face. It was a marvelous sight. The third round. It's your turn to send out someone first. Zhou Xiaoduo came out and shouted, "That beautiful girl in white, don't come out and get beaten up. I have 4 steely straight men like Li Chenglong on my side." On the other side, the girl in white could not help but take a step back. Her face was filled with fear and she even trembled. Too scary. There were 4 people like that? The vice captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School could not help but be angry. You just believed what the other side said? It was unknown if there were 4 steely men like that in this world. How could they all be on the other side? However, the girl in white was obviously scared before the battle. Her state of mind was already broken. Even if she forced herself to fight, it would be difficult for her to do anything. Looking around, he could only stand up himself. He had to take down another city. Now the winning score was 1-1, and there were still 2 unconscious people on his side that their morale had been suppressed too badly. Coincidentally, Zhou Xiaoduo on the other side also had the same thought. After a few days of fighting, Yu Moyan's position was basically set in stone. He was definitely a member that would be settled. Long Yuxing and Wanli Xiu were destined to be inseparable. No school would let go of such a good opportunity if they wanted 2 geniuses. Therefore, Long Yuxing and Wanli Xiu were already safe. Today, Li Zhangming's great dream divine technique had shocked everyone. He had already become the focus of attention, so there was no need to worry. Finally, Li Chenglong's name had also shaken the world through the battle just now. He was also in high demand. In this way, his entire team had already been marked in the eyes of the judges and martial arts teachers. Then all that was left was to win. If they only needed to win, it was really easy and not difficult at all. Zhou Xiaoduo laughed out loud and swaggered out of the room. Vice Captain of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School, let me play with you. On the other side, Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School's vice captain's face was a bit dark. Among all the people in Phoenix City No. 2 High School, the one he was most afraid of was Zhou Xiaoduo. He knew that he didn't have much chance of winning against Zhou Xiaoduo. But now, what he was afraid of had happened. He directly faced this murderous star. Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School, Xiang Chong. That Xiang Bing just now is my sister. Xiang Chong narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhou Xiaoduo. Captain Zhou, I wonder what trump card you will use in this battle. Is it the iron fist that made you famous? Or a hidden weapon? Or a leg technique? Zhou Xiaoduo's face suddenly became serious. He narrowed his eyes and said lightly, I don't really understand what you mean. Iron fist, Prince, in the eyes of a discerning person, is just the most superficial camouflage. In fact, what you are really good at is something else. Xiang Chong's eyes were unprecedentedly sharp. He stared into Zhou Xiaoduo's eyes and smiled. Captain Zhou, I have to say that your strategy is really good. This scheming is even more profound. I admire you. Zhou Xiaoduo's face became gloomy. He said lightly, things have already come to this. Even if you saw through it, what can you do? You will still lose without a doubt. Is that really the case? Xiang Chong laughed and flicked his long robe with his hand. He said coldly, Captain Zhou, don't blame me for not reminding you. The main material of my robe is starlight silk. It is not afraid of your hidden weapon. Zhou Xiaoduo's face became even more unsightly. Is that so? Xiang Chong flipped his hand and a heavenly halberd suddenly appeared in his hand. He held the heavenly halberd with one hand and stood straight. He said lightly, in front of my heavenly halberd, I believe that your fists and legs won't have a chance to get close. Chapter 344. There was a whooshing sound. The sky piercer circled in the air, making a sound that sounded like the wailing of ghosts. A visible vortex formed in the air and then disappeared. Xiang Chong's aura rose sharply. His eyes were full of confidence. He said in a deep voice, Captain Zhou, please. One end of the sky piercer pointed to the sky and the other to the ground. It was shining with a cold light and looked extremely heavy. It was a rare super heavy weapon in this competition. Zhuxiaoduo's face became more and more serious. Countless people who were paying attention to this battle felt their hearts rise to their throats. Almost everyone had a good impression of Zhuxiaoduo. However, judging from the current situation, Zhuxiaoduo was obviously on guard against him. Zhuxiaoduo was good at all kinds of tricks, but against this vice-captain, he really didn't have any advantage. All of them were restrained by his opponent. One must know that his opponent's sky piercer weighed 500 to 600 kilograms. For such a heavy weapon, wouldn't it be just right for Zhuxiaoduo to restrain him? Everyone was a little worried. Zhuxiaoduo was in trouble. Looking at Zhuxiaoduo's face, which was also extremely serious, it was obvious that he also realized that something was wrong. Zhuxiaoduo's face darkened. He slowly rolled up his trousers and tightly buttoned his sleeves. Then he tightened his belt, took out a dozen small jade gourds from his pocket, and threw them on the ground. His face became even more gloomy. Everyone could see that. He must have felt that he was not confident. Since the hidden weapons were destined to be useless, it would be a burden to keep them in his pocket. It was better to throw them away as soon as possible. Only a few high martial arts teachers sighed and frowned. You believed him just because he said so? You threw away your hidden weapons just like that. You have the mentality of a coward before the battle. It was a big mistake. Please. Zhuxiaoduo stretched out his hand. As soon as he spoke, the sound of wind and thunder suddenly came from the opposite side. The sky piercer on the opposite side turned into a silver mountain of halberds, whistling toward him. Countless vortexes formed one after another in the air. The magnificent halberd mountain formed by the sky piercer was mixed with flickering cold light as it rapidly attacked. Zhuxiaoduo reacted with lightning speed and rapidly retreated. Between the flickering starlight, brilliant sparks scuttled about and blossomed one after another in the air. It was extremely magnificent. However, as Zhuxiaoduo retreated, the heavenly halberd's momentum increased by another notch. The overlord halberd's aura grew even stronger. Like a silver whirlwind, it chased after the twinkling starlight, rushing all the way. Zhuxiaoduo let out a long howl and soared into the sky. However, the overlord halberd did not stop. It transformed into a silver dragon and chased after him relentlessly. Zhuxiaoduo used the starry sky steps and dodged continuously in the air. However, when he realized that he couldn't dodge, he rushed towards the ground with a swoosh. Boom! Zhuxiaoduo landed on the ground and immediately flew out while sticking close to the ground. He seemed to be at a disadvantage and could only escape. Seeing that his opponent was at a disadvantage, Xiangcheng controlled the sky piercer and rushed down at high speed. He also stuck close to the ground and chased after Zhuxiaoduo, continuing to put pressure on him. However, the moment he landed, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his wrist. The heavenly halberd in his hand was unprecedentedly heavy, making it difficult for him to hold on. After he failed to hold on, he let out a roar. The heavenly halberd seemed to have lost its sense of direction and flew out of his hand. As it landed, the sky piercer flew towards the judges like a meteor chasing after the moon. Its target was Ding Xiulan. Ding Xiulan frowned. With a flick of her finger, she had already stopped the sky piercer in midair. She looked over with a puzzled expression. Of course, she didn't suspect that Xiangcheng was trying to assassinate her. With her cultivation level, even if she didn't flick her finger, the sky piercer wouldn't be able to break through her vital energy shield. She was just curious. Xiangcheng was obviously chasing after her, so why did he suddenly let go of the sky piercer? Looking back at the arena, Xiangcheng's sky piercer had left his hand. However, his momentum didn't slow down. The moment he landed, he jumped up as if he had been electrocuted. He screamed, "Despicable!" On the opposite side, Zhuxiaoduo stepped on the starlight again and rushed back at a speed much faster than before. He closed in on Xiangcheng at a mysterious angle and aimed one of his legs at the jumping Xiangcheng. This kick came without a trace, but it was powerful and carried with it the sound of the wind breaking through the air. Bang! The dragon's gate leg, which came and went like a ghost, kicked Xiang Chong's crotch once again. It really happened in an instant. Ouch! Xiang Chong let out a shrill scream. His eyes bulged and his body curled up like a cooked prawn. His face revealed an expression of extreme pain. His two hands tightly covered his crotch. The muscles on his face spasmed and twisted. The starlight flashed again. Zhou Xiaoduo stood firmly in front of Xiang Chong again. He was still as handsome and elegant as before. He walked with a majestic gait and a domineering aura. He shouted, "You're wrong. Actually, my fist is invincible." Before he finished speaking, he had already lowered his waist and sat in a horse stance. He punched straight at Xiang Chong's stomach. Xiang Chong's 2 feet left the ground and flew back. The moment he landed, he smashed right into his own chair. With such a huge force, the chair was smashed into pieces and his but landed on the ground. Xiang Chong covered his crotch and continued to roll on the ground. His eyes were bulging. On the spectator stand, a furious voice said, "This bastard. I have to." He slapped the armrest and was about to fly out. However, he was pulled back by the person beside him. Master, calm down, calm down. Calm down. This is the venue of the competition. You must calm down, calm down." The figure shrouded in a cloak was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He couldn't even speak clearly. This bastard. I'm so angry, so angry. Now, let's not talk about what will happen to him. The Kunlun Taoist sect will definitely be famous. Their 10,000 years of reputation has been destroyed by him. This bastard. After this battle, Zhou Xiaoduo became the second most famous legendary character after Li Chenglong. He became famous in one fell swoop, and his name spread across half the sky. Fuck. That's the Galaxy Steps and Dragon Gate kick? Too awesome. My Captain Zhou is so strong. Haha, this kick really made me cover my crotch while watching the live broadcast. Fuck, that's really a stroke of genius. Awesome class. The person above feels the same way. I'm so happy that I've lost everything. At that moment, I really felt a chill on my back. I immediately covered my crotch. First thing, my mother asked me why I was kneeling and covering my crotch while watching the live broadcast. Me too, covering my crotch. Then, a large group of straight men started to comment, me too, me too. There were a few thousand comments. Someone started to analyze, did you see that? During the previous battle, we had analyzed it. The key to this battle is still the combination of Dragon Gate Kick and Galaxy Steps. These two sets of martial arts originally belonged to the Kunlun sect. To be honest, their lethality isn't that great. Naturally, they weren't taken seriously in the past. But from now on, I want to tell everyone, pay attention. The true usage of these two sets of martial arts from the Kunlun sect has appeared. This is definitely a first-class secret technique. That is, the combination of Galaxy Steps and Dragon Gate Kick, the target is the crotch. Maybe it shouldn't be called Dragon Gate Kick anymore. It should be called Crotch Kick. Yes, Galaxy Steps and Crotch Kick. Invincible. It's too sharp. Everyone, we are already studying it now. Don't stop me. I'm going to the Kunlun sect to learn. I don't want to learn anything else, just this step and this kick. I'm going too. Wait for me. Too many onlookers couldn't understand this battle. The live broadcast only had a rough idea. But most of the high martial arts teachers present could all see that the key to this battle was. Yes, it wasn't the key to the crotch. When they first met, Xiang Chong was the main attacker. He attacked aggressively and his momentum was terrifying. Zhou Xiaoduo was the main defender. He used his extreme speed to increase the distance between them. Xiang Chong chased after him relentlessly. Zhou Xiaoduo turned and rushed into the sky. Xiang Chong also chased after him. Zhou Xiaoduo came down again. At the moment he came down again, the battle ended. Brilliant! The referee from the Hidden Dragon High School slapped the table and praised. Even a veteran who has been in the Jianghu for decades might not have this kind of battle awareness. Instead of saying that it's battle awareness, it's more accurate to say that it's an exquisite layout. When he threw away the hidden weapons at the beginning and scattered them on the ground, it looked like he was showing weakness. In fact, he had other plans. The hidden weapons only scattered on the ground, but they were still in the arena. In other words, this was Xiaoduo's earliest move. It was also this move that caused Xiang Chong to be completely unprepared, sowing the seeds of defeat. If Xiang Chong had kept his feet on the ground and attacked steadily, Zhou Xiaoduo's move would have been pointless. However, because Zhou Xiaoduo showed weakness at the beginning of the battle and blindly dodged with his movement, the Overlord Halberd, who emphasized momentum the most, took the opportunity to move and gradually accumulate his momentum. However, because of this continuous pressure, when Zhou Xiaoduo rushed into the sky, Xiang Chong could only chase after him and move away from the ground. Then came the crucial moment. As Xiang Chong leaped into the air to chase after him, his feet were bound to leave the ground. The only place that Xiang Chong's starlight silk clothes could not protect was the soles of his feet. After that, Zhou Xiaoduo landed. He could have landed lightly and continued to wander around, but the moment he landed, he exerted a great force and shook the ground. The true meaning of this was to drive the hidden weapons scattered on the ground. For hidden weapons attacked Xiang Chong from a strange angle, at least from an angle that Zhou Xiaoduo couldn't launch from. 2 of the hidden weapons hit the soles of Xiang Chong's feet. Zhou Xiaoduo used a trick to drive the 4 hidden weapons. In fact, he couldn't exert much power, but what he needed was the right timing. Xiang Chong's soles were attacked. Because he was in mid-air, he was suddenly disturbed. Naturally, he had to stabilize himself first and withdraw the great force he poured into the sky piercer. However, he was in the process of attacking fiercely, so it was difficult for him to withdraw it. And this sudden withdrawal inevitably revealed a flaw. At this moment, the other 2 hidden weapons hit the flaw exposed by Xiang Chong's sleeves. The web between the thumb and the index finger. Looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Chapter 345. That's why the sky piercer flew out of his hand. At this time, as the weapon flew out of his hand, Xiang Chong's first reaction was to follow it. His state of mind was even more flustered. How could he have the time to pay attention to the attack on his feet? As a result, the other 2 hidden weapons, which originally didn't have much power, displayed their greatest effect. They entered the flesh from the soles of his feet, injuring his meridians. Do you think Xiang Chong immediately jumped up the moment he landed? Did he want to jump? No, it was simply an instinctive reaction from the pain. On the other hand, Zhou Xiaoduo's starry sky steps and dragon gate leg had already turned around. He had anticipated the enemy's movements and attacked with certainty. With a kick to the crotch, he completely crippled all of his combat strength. As for the punch after that, it was actually superfluous. There was no real need for it. Because at that time, victory and defeat were already clear. There was no need for any more movements. After the Hidden Dragon High School teacher's explanation, everyone who didn't understand suddenly felt enlightened. Because this battle was really too fast. Everyone only saw one chasing and one escaping. They rushed up to the sky and then came down. Then, inexplicably, the sky piercer attacked. It inexplicably ended. But at the same time, they also looked at this captain of Phoenix City's No. 2 high school in a new light. This Xiaoduo's plan was so exquisite. Unexpectedly, every step he took was so unexpected. Yet, it was so logical in his bones. He played with his opponent in the palm of his hand and was extremely happy. In this battle, Xiang Chong didn't lose at all. This Hidden Dragon High School teacher was full of praise. In a battle of martial arts, it's never about who has a higher cultivation base or who has a stronger foundation who will definitely win. In this battle, there are still countless methods, countless openings, and countless traps that can be exploited. As long as they are used well and ingeniously, naturally, the weak can defeat the strong and subdue the enemy to obtain victory. These children of Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. To say something that everyone can understand, they've experienced too little society's vicious beatings. These words caused a thoughtful expression to appear on the faces of all the high school teachers. Too little society's vicious beatings that the future was really worrying. Should he suggest opening another class in the high martial arts school? Is this called being beaten up by society? From the looks of it, this Xiaoduo could simply become a professor of this course. There were still many people discussing this on the internet. However, this time, everyone was discussing battle tactics. You can do that? The hidden weapon that was thrown at the beginning was actually a trap. He said that there was no need for it. Fuck, if it were me, I would definitely fall for it. Facing an opponent who is an entire major realm higher than him, he dodged twice, rushed up into the air, and then rushed down. Then he won with a kick to the crotch. Why do I feel that it's so surreal? Child, you've experienced too little social abuse. But you're the one who hasn't been beaten enough. Could it be that Xiaoduo has experienced more? But he won. Alright, this sentence really made people speechless. You don't care how many beatings he's been through. The reality now is that he's won. If he won, that would be his capital and glory. 3 battles, 2 wins and 1 loss. Xiaoduo was still standing on the field, unable to get down. Which one of you wants to come up? It's still me for this battle, and it's still me for the next one. The remaining 3 members of Hidden Dragon were all dumbfounded. Aren't you bullying us? You're the captain. Xiaoduo naturally had something to say. In the previous battles, we've always fought one person against one team. This time, it's the same. However, Li Changming and Li Chenglong are too weak. One lost and the other was seriously injured. However, I'm still fine. Of course, I have to continue fighting. If your captain wakes up and wants to continue fighting, it's fine. It's okay to keep winning. We won't be unhappy even if you defeat all of us. After all, this is the rule. However, the problem is that your captain fainted while snoring, grinding his teeth, and farting. There's really nothing we can do about it. Xiaoduo's tone was very regretful. These beautiful words immediately made the captain of Hidden Dragon, Shimenda, who had just woken up, spit out a mouthful of blood and fainted again. The reality was like this. They could only endure and continue. However, the 2 youths who came up next after a round of battle, one in front and one in back, they hugged their crotches and were defeated. The internet was completely boiling. Crotch kicking again. Crotch kicking again. Too skilled. So cool. I want to learn. May I ask, where is the Kunlun sect? Same question. I hope the Almighty can give me some pointers. I'm very grateful. This is a unique skill that can save one's life. I must learn it. I must learn it. I must learn it until I'm very familiar with it. I must learn it until I reach the peak of perfection. In the stands? Let's go. The slim figure who was tightly wrapped in the cloak was so angry that her face was ashen. She stood up and turned around to leave. She didn't even look back. She was really angered to death. Master, wait for me. Another figure chased after her. The Battle of the Top 8. Phoenix City's second high school won. Furthermore, they eliminated Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School, which had the highest chance of winning. A super dark horse. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that this year, no matter what, the champion would not be Hidden Dragon High School. Hidden Dragon High School had now completely lost the qualification to win the championship. The next step was the top 6. The competition had already ended. The leading teacher of Hidden Dragon High School anxiously led his team to Nanji City. Healing pod. He had to find the highest grade. Also, he had to find an expert to see if he could heal Shimen Daqing's soul. If it couldn't be healed, then it would be difficult to maintain the top 3. Although there was no difference in the benefits of being ranked 2nd to 9th, their reputation would be ruined. If they suddenly fell out of the top 3, then they would really be done for. This time, coming to the competition, I've really seen a ghosts. On this day, the top 6 were decided. Phoenix City's 2nd high school, Water City's 1st high school, Yangluo's 1st high school, Fenghai's 3rd high school, Phoenix Tail's 1st high school, and Sung Mountain's 1st high school. There was really no Hidden Dragon High School. Hidden Dragon High School, which had dominated the championship for many years, had a super big news this time. They actually didn't enter the top 6. This news made everyone's jaws drop, but after thinking about it carefully, they felt that it was reasonable. Hidden Dragon High School first encountered Water City First High School, and only won a Pyrrhic victory after all their members were severely injured. Then, they encountered Garrison Store First High School, and were ruthlessly fought by the other party. They were still full of injured soldiers, and most of them were severely injured. Then, they encountered Phoenix City's Second High School, and accidents happened again and again. First, the team leader encountered the successor of the Dream Divine Technique, who had not appeared in the world for a long time. Although he was lucky enough to win the match, his soul was injured. Not only was he unable to continue the match, but he was also absent from the subsequent matches. Originally, the vice team leader, Xiang Chong, and his sister, Xiang Bing, were both experts in the embryonic breathing realm. Moreover, they were talents in actual combat, so Hidden Dragon High School had considerable strength. But first, Xiang Bing was disfigured by a certain steel-like man from Phoenix City's Second High School, and she was utterly defeated. Then, Xiang Chong was crushed by his Xiaoduo's schemes, and his vital parts were kicked. He was defeated, especially when he was kicked in the crotch. In the next two matches, two of them were also defeated by his Xiaoduo in the same way, by kicking in the crotch. Xiaoduo didn't kill him in this position. Although it wasn't fatal, it wasn't crippling, and it wouldn't cause internal injuries, but it was really painful and it really affected his performance. Moreover, after he recovered and didn't feel anything, he had to habitually walk for a long time. This also led to them encountering Shui City No. 1 Middle School, which they had already fought once. They were almost swept away, and all of them were defeated. Especially Xiang Bing, this valiant beauty, was beaten by Li Chenglong to the point that she was traumatized, and she didn't dare to go on stage. She was even afraid to go on stage, so how could she not be defeated? Hidden Dragon High School's dismal ending made countless high school teachers feel satisfied, but they also had mixed feelings and couldn't put their thoughts to words. It was probably because the words of the teacher from the Hidden Dragon High School were too reasonable. These students had too little experience of being beaten up by society. Many high school teachers with ideas were thinking about this sentence. It was indeed too little. They were too well protected. If they didn't encounter a similar experience, if they really went to the battlefield, or if they really went to the Jianghu, they would just stretch out their necks and be slaughtered. Those old foxes, those mortal enemies, which one of them would show mercy just because you were a genius? They would only kill with extreme pleasure. Vicious beating. It's imperative. The high school teachers all had such thoughts in their minds. Why do the old people always say that to suffer a loss is to gain an advantage? This sentence is a famous saying when it comes to martial artists. If you suffer a loss, as long as you don't die, you really gain a big advantage. Because you won't suffer the same loss again. And too many people will pay with their lives if they suffer such a loss. In the previous Dragon and Tiger Roll competition, everyone had fought according to the rules. They had brought out as much strength as they could. It was probably because everyone followed the rules and did things according to the rules, so they didn't feel that there was any problem. However, in this year's batch, the students of Phoenix City No. 2 High School, especially Zhou Xiaoduo, suddenly made everyone feel that the previous way couldn't work. All of them were as pure as Baihua. In the future, they could only wait to suffer losses. Based on the principle of thinking for the students, everyone began to think seriously. The top 6 drew lots. Phoenix City No. 2 High School against Yangluo No. 1 High School. Water City No. 1 High School against Fenghai No. 3 High School. Phoenix Tail No. 1 High School against Songshan No. 1 High School. 4 Phoenix Tail No. 1 High School and Songshan No. 1 High School. Such a draw result was almost equivalent to picking up a bargain. Originally, the highest record of these two teams was only in the top 8. Moreover, it was not stable. Often, they would be in the top 8 this year and be kicked out of the top 10 next year. But this time, it was too smooth. Not only did they enter the top 6 in one go, but they also had the possibility of going further. It was really a big pie that fell from the sky. Every time they drew lots, it was almost a battle between the strong, and their combat strength was basically exhausted. This time, the top 6 drew lots again. Naturally, they didn't know Zhu's ability. They only felt that they were too lucky. Perhaps they could win the championship? In this round of the top 6, the main purpose was to determine the top 4. The winners of the 3 groups would directly enter the top 4. The losers would draw lots again. 1 would have a bye, 2 would fight, and the winner would fight with the one who had a bye. And the final winner would obtain the last seat in the top 4. After that, the top 4 matches would be simple. The winners would fight for the first and second place, and the losers would fight for the third place. In other words, this year's Longhu List competition was nearing its end. That afternoon, Phoenix City No. 2 High School and Yangluo No. 1 High School were fighting. And Luoyang No. 1 High School had Zhuxiao Duo, who had a high opinion of the tall girl from the beginning to the end. Chapter 346. The others were at most at the same level as Li Chenglong and the others. Only this girl was far beyond her peers. The feeling she gave to Zhuxiao Duo could almost be described as sharp. Zhuxiao Duo could be sure that if she didn't count himself, this girl had the amazing combat power to kill Li Chenglong and the others in one breath. However, according to the information he had gathered beforehand, not only was this girl not the captain, she wasn't even the vice-captain. It could be said that she was very low-key. This match was different from the match against Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School. Long Yusheng fought the first match until he was exhausted and finally won with difficulty. However, he didn't have the strength to fight the second match, so he had to withdraw. Wan Lixiu took over the baton and fought the second match. The opponent was also a girl, and it was an evenly matched battle. The two were beaten until they couldn't even get up. In the end, the match ended in a draw. The two girls left the stage, vomiting blood as they were supported back. In the third match, Li Chenglong fought the opponent until the sky turned dark. Finally, he won with difficulty. It was still his ability to resist, take a beating. His injuries seemed to be lighter than his opponent's. He won by a fluke, really by a fluke. So far, there were 2 wins and 1 draw. Zhuxiao Duo simply walked up and prepared to fight the fourth match. He was sure that the tall girl of the opponent would have to fight no matter what. Otherwise, if Yangluo No. 1 High School lost another match, it would be the end. Zhuxiao's guess was not wrong. The girl's face was cold. She stepped forward with her 2 long legs. Lan Bingrui. These 3 cold words were not polite at all. Zhuxiao Duo. Zhuxiao Duo also didn't show any expression. In a sense, Zhuxiao Duo was also a steely straight man, not inferior to Li Chenglong's steely straight man. You think you're so good just because you're beautiful? As long as I don't owe you money, I won't hold back at all. Besides, don't you think you're too tall? Zhuxiao Duo was 1.89 meters tall. This height was already considered tall among men. And this girl was at least 1.84 meters tall. Just by standing there, she seemed to be taller than Zhuxiao Duo. Just this height alone was quite unfriendly. Please. Both of them got into their stances at the same time. Zhuxiao Duo didn't hesitate. He fully used the star steps and Dragon's Gate leg, but then he laughed bitterly. Because the movements used starry feet, star plucking stars, and dragon's leg. Fuck, they're from the same source. Zhuxiao Duo was stunned. This girl was also a descendant of the Kunlun sect? But seeing someone of the same origin as him, how could he be so cold? The others were also taken aback for a moment, and then they revealed expressions full of interest. Now that the 2 successors of the Kunlun Taoist sect had met each other, this battle was definitely going to be interesting. Bang, bang, bang. Zhuxiao Duo and Lan Bingrui exchanged 3 blows and kicked each other 3 times. Both of them acted as if nothing had happened and retreated. The probing had been completed. Zhuxiao Duo and Lan Bingrui's SS faces became serious. They knew each other best. Through the exchange just now, Zhuxiao Duo had already determined that the girl in front of him was an exceptional genius. Moreover, she was a genius who had suppressed her vital essence's agitation 7 or 8 times when a martial arts master was breaking through to the innate realm. In other words, she had the suppression of Long Yusheng, Wan Lixiu, and the others. Moreover, she was in the intermediate stage of the embryonic breathing realm, which was close to the pinnacle of cultivation. That's pretty awesome. Zhou Xiaoduo felt a faint pain in his calf after the collision. He immediately grimaced. However, he didn't know that although Lan Bingrui's expression was still cold, she was so shocked that she almost cried out in surprise. In Yangluo No. 1 High School, she was a great genius who dominated the entire city. Looking at the past few hundred years, there was no one in Yangluo City who could achieve what she had. In this Dragon and Tiger List tournament, there was no student who could catch her eye, including the team leader of No. 1 High School of Hidden Dragon, Shimin Daqing, whose cultivation had reached the high level of the embryonic breathing realm and was half a step to the primordial elixir realm. If they really fought, she could definitely take him down within 50 moves. The rest were even more mediocre and couldn't reach the apex. This was Lan Bingrui's confidence. However, when she really faced Zhou Xiaoduo, through these few exchanges, she could acutely feel that this Zhou Xiaoduo's foundation was actually more profound than hers. No, it should be far more profound than hers. This was because he was only at the innate realm now. He was obviously a realm lower than her, but he could still be on par with her in terms of strength. If this wasn't a huge difference in foundation, what else could it be? In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 30 moves. Both of them didn't use any weapons and only fought with their fists and feet. In close combat, there was another muffled bang. Both of their legs kicked each other firmly again, and they retreated at the same time again. However, as Zhou Xiaoduo retreated this time, he threw out 3 small gourds, which flew out like lightning. Lan Bingrui was in mid-air and had to bear the aftermath of the impact from both sides. She definitely couldn't dodge all of them. According to Zhou Xiaoduo's estimation, she could only dodge 2 at most. No matter what, she would be hit by at least 1. However, Zhou Xiaoduo was thinking too much. She didn't dodge at all, so all 3 hidden weapons hit her. However, when the hidden weapons hit Lan Bingrui's body, they were completely useless. Her snow-white clothes didn't even have any reaction, and the small gourds had already shattered. Your clothes are really not bad. Zhou Xiaoduo praised sincerely, but his heart was filled with helplessness. It seemed like hidden weapons really couldn't be used in this round. This wasn't a life-and-death battle. He couldn't possibly blind this girl, right? However, there was obviously something fishy about the clothes, and it was completely useless. Lan Bingrui said faintly, "Don't waste your time. Hidden weapons are useless against me. It's useless to hit my face or hit my hands anywhere. My galaxy clothes have an automatic defensive ability." "You're really rich." Zhou Xiaoduo grinned. The galaxy clothes were said to be woven with a kind of strange metal mixed with the galaxy cloud soul. This kind of clothes was not only impenetrable by weapons, water, and fire, but also could store true core force. If there was a sufficiently high-level expert who injected his true inner force into the clothes could theoretically absorb an unlimited amount of true inner force. And all the absorbed true inner force would be converted into defensive power. In this way, no matter what kind of sudden attack, the galaxy clothes could automatically sense the impact of the attack and protect the owner. It was truly a priceless treasure. Ordinary ancient martial arts families might not even have heard of it, let alone own it. It seemed that Lan Bingrui's family background was extraordinarily good. Zhou Xiaoduo has met his match. Ding Xiulan's face was solemn. "I'm afraid this match is really going to be difficult." Ma Zhangxi also kept shaking his head. "This kid is really unlucky to have met this girl from the Lan family. This girl is not simple. She has been very low-key all the way and almost didn't fight. However, she also has a lot of gadgets on her. Zhou Xiaoduo might not be able to defeat her." The teacher from Hidden Dragon Martial Arts High School said faintly, "In the end, he's just taking advantage of his family background. If Zhou Xiaoduo had the same family background, he would definitely be more outstanding than this Lan girl." Everyone nodded silently. For ordinary people or geniuses in the ordinary sense, Lan Bingrui could easily crush them without using her family background. However, for geniuses of the same level, the addition of family background was enough to create a huge gap. Hidden weapons are destined to be useless. Palm techniques, leg techniques, and footwork are also known to the opponent. The chances of winning this match are slim. Ding Xiaolan was a little worried. Zhou Xiaoduo has made it this far. Even if he loses, it's not considered a loss. Ma Zhangxi said softly. On the spectator stand, the person in the cloak smiled gently and gritted his teeth. Finally, someone can teach this little bastard a lesson. These few days, I've been so angry that my stomach hurts. Another person said softly, it's hard to say now. You don't know what kind of enemies Xiao Duo has faced and where his real combat power has gone. The person who spoke was Zhou Xiaoyan. She knew her brother's ability very well. If it wasn't for Zhou Xiaoduo not wanting to expose himself, it would only be a matter of minutes to smash this girl into meat paste. With this level of ability, you dare to be arrogant in front of my dog. Why are you so tall? However, she also knew that Zhou Xiaoduo would definitely not expose himself in this kind of situation. Then, if they wanted to win, there was only one way left. Teacher, it seems that you know the background of this girl? Zhou Xiaoyan asked. She's the last disciple of my junior master. Mu Yanyan said softly, according to seniority, you have to call her junior master. Then why is she so useless? With this level of ability? Zhou Xiaoyan was very disdainful. At this moment, Nian Mao's eyes were full of disdain. Mu Yanyan. This sentence was a little heart-wrenching and a little speechless. However, thinking about it, Zhou Xiaoyan was indeed qualified to say this. Looking at the practitioners of the same age, Zhou Xiaoyan could really be said to be invincible in this world. Bang bang, bang. In the field, the two of them moved like rabbits and swooped down like hawks. They continuously exchanged more than 200 moves, and the sound of vital qi colliding and exploding was constantly heard. Let's end this. Lan Bingrui floated back and pulled out a long sword with a clang. Like a stream of light, she held it in front of her chest. Zhou Xiaoduo, you're no match for me. Admit defeat. Zhou Xiaoduo was shocked and said, you actually used a weapon. Relying on a weapon to help in the battle, it's an unfair victory. Lan Bingrui said, in a martial arts battle, of course, I'll use everything. What's wrong with that? Zhou Xiaoduo was not convinced and said, in this case, I'll also use a weapon. My sword is also very powerful. Lan Bingrui frowned. So what if you use a weapon? It's not shameful to admit defeat when you're not as strong as others. Zhou Xiaoduo, why are you struggling? I asked you to admit defeat because my sword is too fierce and sharp. I'm afraid that I'll hurt you by accident. After all, we're all Taoists, and you're a junior. It's not shameful for you to lose to me. Zhou Xiaoduo said with a smile, then why don't you admit defeat? It's not shameful for you to lose to me. Chapter 347. Zhou Xiaoduo laughed. In fact, what you said is exactly what I wanted to say. I just don't know whether you believe it or not. He made a grabbing motion in the air, and a sword appeared out of thin air with a cracking sound. The sword light was as clear as water and as thin as a cicada's wing. Since you're the one who made the first move, I won't hold back. Since we share the same origin, I'll definitely give you some face. Two swords. And they were two peerless godly weapons shining here. All the referees, including Lan Bingrui's teacher in charge, were stunned. Everyone had the same thought. These two people are really cunning. Lan Bingrui had never used any weapon before. Coincidentally, Zhou Xiaoduo was the same. But now, the two people took out their swords one after another, and the swords they took out were both peerless godly weapons. How could people not think about the implication of this? Several referees shook their heads and smiled bitterly. Ding Xiulan's face changed, and her mouth twitched. After being speechless for a long time, she murmured, the old scoundrel met the old scoundrel. Even I was wrong. Zhou Xiaoduo's family background is not simple. It must be very powerful. The other teachers shook their heads and smiled bitterly. You are not the only one. Didn't we all make a mistake? Who would have thought that the so-called Iron Fist young master would take out a hidden weapon as his trump card? After the hidden weapon, he said that his body movement and footwork were his trump cards. And now, he was forced to take out a sword. It was totally speechless. The sword light suddenly flashed, and the two people attacked at the same time. Their attacks were totally different from before. It was like two new people were performing sword skills. The audience behind the two of them felt that something was amiss. The audience behind Zhuo Xiao duo facing Lan Bingrui only felt that they were facing an extremely cold snow mountain. The snow was falling and it was bone-chilling. Countless mysterious ice shone in the sunlight, shining and dazzling. As for the audience behind Lan Bingrui facing Zhuo Xiao duo, they only felt a drizzle blowing against their faces. It was as if they were taking a stroll in the rain, full of warmth, gentleness, and comfort. It was indescribably comfortable. This kind of artistic conception was simply intoxicating. Although the snow and ice of Lan Bingrui were wild and the snow-capped mountains were high, they were melted little by Zhuo Xiaoduo's misty rain. The process was slow, but it was very real and real. In this round of sword skill competition, Zhuo Xiaoduo actually had the upper hand, and the signs of him having the upper hand were gradually becoming more and more obvious. This result shocked everyone who was watching the battle. What kind of freak is this child? Ding Xiulan was so shocked that she couldn't close her mouth. Lan Bingrui was a little impatient. She tried 3 different sword techniques, but the sword in front of her was soft and light. Her sword technique was like the fine rain in spring. It was completely useless. It was as if there was no end to it, and it kept suppressing her sword technique. Lan Bingrui let out a long howl. She was finally enraged and shouted, "If that's the case, then come." Suddenly, a white aura surged on her face. Her whole body was covered in white mist. In just a moment, everyone in the arena felt a chill. The temperature actually dropped to below freezing point. In less than 10 breaths of time, a layer of dense white ice had appeared on the stage. This is the mysterious Yin technique. A few high school teachers stood up at the same time and looked at the arena in shock. This little princess of the Lan family had actually cultivated the mysterious Yin technique. Moreover, she had already achieved some success. She had already cultivated it to a higher level. This achievement was really no small matter. Shangjing's Yunduan High Martial Arts School wants this little girl from the Lan family. The teacher from Shangjing's Yunduan High Martial Arts School stared at Lan Bingrui, who had already gained control of the entire arena, with an unconcealed fondness. This kind of genius was really suitable for Yunduan High Martial Arts School. Who do you think you are? You think you are? The teacher from Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts School snorted and glared at him with an unfriendly gaze. The teacher from Yunduan High Martial Arts School said indifferently, "Since you have withdrawn from the competition, you are naturally ours. However, we will return the favor with a gift. As long as you agree, we will not fight with you for the remaining geniuses, such as Zhuo Xiao Duo and Zhou Yunqing." Ding Xiulan narrowed her eyes. The teacher from Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts School also had a change in expression. Both of them asked at the same time, "A gentleman keeps his word? A man keeps his word." The teacher from Yunduan High Martial Arts School said indifferently, "A man keeps his word. What's there to doubt?" "All right, it's settled then." Both of them agreed at the same time, as if they were afraid that the other party would go back on his word. At this moment, the temperature in the arena dropped even lower. The temperature in the arena had already dropped to below 0. It was just that it had dropped to a few dozen degrees below 0. Lan Bingrui was still continuously activating the mysterious Yin technique. Her long sword fluttered and attacked aggressively, suppressing Zhuo Xiao Duo. With a sword in one hand and a palm in the other, she flew horizontally and vertically, like a fairy flying in a world of ice and snow, exuding an icy aura. At this moment, even the edges of the arena began to be covered with icicles. Higher up, the heat of the natural weather clashed with it. From time to time, a mist would rise and dissipate. Zhuo Xiao Duo, who was the focal point of the cold attack, was already covered with frost. Even his eyebrows and hair were dyed white. However, the sword in his hand did not relax at all. He was still counterattacking with every move. He was actually stable from beginning to end and did not give an inch. The outcome has been decided. Zhuo Xiao Duo is bound to lose. Ding Xiaolan looked at Zhuo Duo tenaciously fighting in the arena with heartache. She shook her head and said disappointedly, "This battle is not the fault of the battle. It is not the fault of the battle." The teacher from Hidden Dragon High School also sighed deeply. This battle of geniuses is lost because of the family background, not because of the individual. If Zhuo Duo had a set of matching martial arts, the battle would not be so one-sided. Zhuo Duo lost this battle unjustly. A clear and long cry sounded in the arena again. Lan Bingrue's slim and tall body flew up into the sky. Her long sword suddenly emitted 9 white icy sword auras. Her right palm pushed and pulled back, and then suddenly pushed out. A storm of ice and snow was formed, falling from the sky, and the target was Zhuo Duo. The wind from the palm tore the air, making a sharp whistle. A murderous aura, biting cold, almost formed. Murderous intent. This is the mysterious Ice Soul Palm. Ding Xiaolan was shocked. The other referees also stood up abruptly, ready to help at any time. This palm was powerful and tyrannical, and its killing intent had already been established. If Zhuo Duo couldn't withstand it, he would be frozen into a popsicle along with his soul. The mysterious Ice Soul Palm was a tyrannical killing move that wreaked havoc in the world. Too many people knew the terrifying and insidious level of this palm technique. As long as Zhuo Duo showed signs of being unable to withstand it, the judges would help. They definitely wouldn't watch a peerless genius like Zhuo Duo die like this. At this moment, Lan Bingrue, who was in the air, had a trace of regret in her eyes, but then she became determined again. Zhuo Duo's tenacity had greatly exceeded her expectations. If she did not use this trump card, she would not be able to defeat this guy in front of her. She had no choice but to push the battle to this extreme. As long as you withdraw and admit defeat, you can save your life. But if you insist on being brave, you will die. You can only blame yourself for not knowing the situation. I will not hold back this time. So what if I kill you? Right at this critical moment, an unexpected event occurred abruptly, and it caused everyone to be astounded. Because in the area covered by the ice and snow, an explosive and furious roar suddenly appeared, piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks, shocking the heavens. At the same time, a ball of fiery red suddenly rose from the middle of the ice and snow. Zhuo Duo's voice was heard, speaking in an eerie tone. "Fiery sun." Zhuo Duo was furious. "Killing intent. I have been merciful all this time. You want to kill me?" In an instant, the fiery Sun Sutra reached its breaking point in his fury. Under everyone's gaze, a ball of dazzling fiery red suddenly appeared in the ice and snow field, exploding, bursting, exploding. Then, it rose up and turned into a blazing sun that was close at hand. Zhuo Duo held a sharp sword in his hand, and his whole body soared into the sky like a rising sun. The power of the sun melted and burned the ice and snow in the sky in an instant, and his whole body was surrounded by rolling heat waves. The sharp sword in his hand turned into a drizzle, and the drizzle turned into a violent storm, sweeping across the sky and earth, and drowning Lan Bingrue's sword light. At the same time, Zhuo Duo's left palm, which was like a furnace soaring into the sky, collided with Lan Bingrue's mysterious Ice Soul Palm without dodging. The fiery Sun Sutra of extreme yang, extreme heat, and extreme heat suddenly erupted, facing the mysterious Ice Soul Palm head-on. Boom! With a blood-curdling scream, Lan Bingrue was sent flying along with her sword. She flew more than 200 meters like a kite with a broken string. Her beautiful hair was completely roasted in the process of flying back. A white shadow soared into the sky like lightning and caught Lan Bingrue in his hand. His fingers were like phantoms, and he hit all the major acupoints on Lan Bingrue's body one after another. Then he poured several elixirs and 2 bottles of potions into her body. The white shadow didn't land on the ground after saving her, but stopped in the air, holding the unconscious Lan Bingrue. He turned his head to look at Zhuo Duo in the field, and said lightly, "The fiery Sun Sutra has reappeared in the world. Not bad, not bad. You are a talent. In the future, will come to you again." It was a woman's voice. Then, she said lightly, Lan Bingrue's internal qi has reversed, and her injury is very serious. She can't be cured here. I will take her back now. Sorry for delaying the rest of the competition. Before he finished speaking, his entire body soared into the sky. Following a flash of sword light, he had already sped into the horizon and disappeared without a trace. The whole field was still steaming hot and misty. Zuo quietly landed on the ground, gasping for breath. His face was flushed, and it was obvious that the operation just now had consumed a lot of energy. But for Zuo, this consumption was not a problem. What really shocked him was something else. He couldn't help but raise his head and look in the direction where the woman left. At that moment, when the woman had just appeared, Zuo had clearly felt an unprecedentedly sharp murderous aura enveloping his entire body. That woman just now, she also wanted to kill me? But she didn't because of the environment? Why? Chapter 348. Zuo was confused. This is just a competition. Even if I severely injured your disciple, it's still a competition. Moreover, the techniques I used all belong to the Kunlun Taoist sect. Is it necessary to kill me? Zuo did not regret his decision even though he had used an extreme burst of power in his last palm strike. The last palm strike might very well cause Lan Bingrue to fall, but Zuo didn't care. This was because Lan Bingrue's last attack was an extreme one. She did not hold back at all. If Zuo only had the strength that he had displayed previously, he would have died without a doubt after receiving that palm. Even the referee might not be able to save Zuo. Zuo thought that he had shown mercy from the beginning. Hidden weapons are useless? Not necessarily. Even if your clothes are extremely mysterious and don't need to be activated, with my attainments in hidden weapons, especially my strange turning skills, I really can't blind your eyes? I only used the drizzle sword to deal with you. Do you think I don't know anything else? I can turn you into a meat patty if I take out my big hammer. Zuo did not even use the essence of the drizzle sword. Otherwise, Lan Bingrue would not have been able to change her sword techniques so easily. In this battle, Zuo did not even want to reveal his sword, let alone the Flaming Sun Sutra. Now, not only was he forced to reveal his sword by Lan Bingrue, but he also had to reveal the strength of the Flaming Sun Sutra. Although he won, Zuo was still very unhappy. Sigh, I exposed 2 more trump cards. How am I going to continue? I'm almost out of trump cards. How sad. Within a radius of several thousand meters, water mist rose and filled the air, like a mushroom cloud rising into the sky and gradually disappearing. It was only after a long time that the entire spectator's stand regained its vision. Apart from the few people who were closest to it, the others, even if they had excellent eyesight, could only see a flash of red light before their eyes were obscured by the rising water vapor, unable to see anything else. Well, perhaps he could vaguely hear a person say a few words in the air, but he really couldn't hear anything else. After a while, he finally saw Zuo in the ring. The live stream was filled with fog, and nothing else could be seen. The only thing that was clearly heard by everyone was the words that the man said before he left, the Flaming Sun Scripture. Flaming Sun Scripture? Cough cough. Someone coughed softly. Zuo turned around and saw that all 6 referees of the competition were standing behind him. He did not know when they had all gathered together. Other than the 6 of them, there were 7 or 8 other high martial arts teachers who were standing not far away from him. At this moment, the entire place was silent. Everyone was looking at him as if he was a monster. The one who coughed just now was the horse-faced teacher, Ma Zhangxi. Teacher Ma's face was filled with disappointment and dejection. He understood that after this battle, his Huayang High Martial Arts School's dream of recruiting Zuo into the school had become a wishful thinking. There was no chance of that at all. Ding Xiulan's face was filled with shock. Her eyes were sparkling like a dragon who had discovered a boundless treasure. The other teacher's eyes were also shining brightly. Then, Ding Xiulan and the teacher from Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts School turned their heads at the same time. They looked at the teacher from Shangjing High Martial Arts School and said in unison, "Teacher Cui, your words are like the wind. You can't go back on your words. This was Xiao Duo, you've already said that you've given up on him. You can't fight with us anymore. Teacher Chui's face was filled with shock. He was stunned on the spot. Don't fight? What the fuck? If I don't fight with such a legendary genius, I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death by the school's leaders when I get back. However, the words that came out of his mouth were like water that had been spilled. Teacher Chui's face was flushed red. His face and neck were red as he argued, I said that I won't fight with you. I said that I won't fight with you. Even though I'm fucking. Right? I said that I won't fight with you. Of course, I'm a man of my words. But just now, the principal called and said that we'll fight for him. The principal has spoken. What's the use of my words? Teacher Chui acted shamelessly on the spot. He even threw a tantrum. His mature and dignified appearance from before was completely gone. Ding Xiulan and the teacher from Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts School scolded in unison. Shameless. Chui Shangyan, you're a teacher from Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts School. How dare you go back on your words? You said that you're a man of your words. Now, you're treating your words like farts. Stinks. Teacher Chui's face was red as he said, it's our principal who said that. Our principal said that we'll fight for him. Your principal's face is being used by you for this. Ding Xiulan snorted. Then she took out a phone and pressed on it with her hand. Teacher Chui Shangyan's voice could be heard clearly from the phone. Our high martial arts school wants this Lan Bingri. As a condition, that's Xiao Duo, Zhou Yunqing. Won't fight with you. Chui Shangyan's face was pale as if he had seen a ghost. You actually recorded it. Ding Xiulan's face was full of disdain. Who in the martial arts world doesn't know what kind of morals you high martial arts school have? If I didn't guard against you guys, wouldn't I have lived for so long in vain? Listen carefully, Chui Shangyan, you better listen carefully. This promise is made by you on behalf of High Martial Arts School. Listen carefully. Yes, our High Martial Arts School. May I ask what these words mean? Even if your principal really came, would he be able to change this fact? Ding Xiulan was in high spirits. In this matter, your High Martial Arts School is out. Your High Martial Arts School is out. The teacher from Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts School was in high spirits. Fuck, women are so scheming. This time, I'm lucky that I'm with a woman. Otherwise, this Chui guy would really blame me. Chui Shangyan flew into a rage and directly shed all pretense of cordiality. Was a talent more important than face? There was no need to talk about this. Even if my reputation is ruined, I'll still take this person for myself. This is an all-round talent in martial arts, and he's even mastered the Flaming Sun Manual. You guys want to force me out with just a few words? You've all gone crazy thinking about it. Shameless. Shameless. You're insane. Ding Xiulan scolded. I'll announce it on the internet right now and spread it all over the world. Chui Shangyan, I'll let you stink for 3 lifetimes. Even if I stink for 10 lifetimes, I'll still take him. Chui Shangyan had nothing to lose and was completely shameless. However, he felt relaxed instead, as if he had broken through some kind of shackle, and said angrily, I'll go back on my words. So what? My words are like farts, what can you do about it? All the teachers, including Ding Xiulan, were speechless. Fuck. The teacher from Hidden Dragon High School muttered angrily, I've helped you break through your limits. This ability to speak like farts. Xiao Duo had just opened his eyes when all the teachers around him swarmed over and locked their gazes on him. Just as Chui Shangyan had said, in terms of ability, he was all-round in martial arts, and hidden weapons. He also had the ability to see the big picture, organize, strategize, and set up a situation. He lacked nothing. In terms of personality, he had a righteous heart, respected his teachers, and was not pedantic at all. He was flexible and quick-witted. That this kind of student was an all-rounder that one could only dream of. What's more, he had mastered the legendary Flaming Sun Manual. It had even elevated him to the level of a peerless monster. Not taking him in? Give up? What a joke. Even if they couldn't beat the big 3, they still had to fight for him. They had to fight for him. Otherwise, when the principal saw the video, he would say, "Fuck, not being able to beat the big three is one reason, but you didn't even fight for such a genius. That's a sin. Who knows, he might be related to our high school. Who knows, he might have thought of coming to our school. You didn't even let out a fart? Even if he wanted to come, he wouldn't have that direction. That would be terrible. Zwishaoduo, you brat. Ha, you're quite sinister, but I like it." Ding Shilan first laughed loudly, then said affectionately, "You child, why are you so scheming? Ha, you're really lovable." Not bad at all." The teacher from Hidden Dragon High School laughed. "This is the first time I, Zhan Xiaofei, have met such a suitable student like you." He laughed heartily and said to the teachers with a sigh, "Back then, there was an expert who told my fortune. He said that my name, Zhan Xiaofei, although it didn't seem very impressive, it had the ability to protect students. If one day he met a student whose second character was also Xiao, then this student would spread his wings and soar into the sky. That's why I'm called Zhan Xiaofei. Now, it seems that I've found it." He sighed and said, "This is all destined. That old immortal, a true god, said it. It was too accurate. Zhan Xiaofei, you fucking bastard." 7 or 8 teachers roared together. How could he make up a story on the spot? He actually said the second character in his name is Xiao. Could he have made it more obvious? Ha! Zhan Xiaofei is really shameless. Teacher Cui Shangyan laughed loudly and said to Zwishaoduo enthusiastically, "Students Zwishaoduo, I'm the #1 teacher from Yunduan High School in the 3 big schools. My name is..." "You're not a bastard." The other teachers roared together, "Get lost." Cui Shangyan acted as if he didn't hear anything. His expression didn't change. "My name is Cui Shangyan. Compared to Zwishaoduo's future, I don't care about this face of mine. As long as Xiao Duo enters our Yunduan High School, everything is worth it. I can give up anything." The anxiety in Zwishaoduo's heart gradually calmed down. "So they're not here to pursue the matter of me lying. I seem to have said before that the Dragon Gate kick was my trump card. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel relieved. He scratched his head and said carefully, "Teacher, the competition isn't over yet. 4th update, did you feel good today? Could you please vote for me?" Chapter 349. You have 3 wins and 1 draw. You have already won. Why are you still fighting? There's no need to continue. Ding Xiulan smiled kindly. The more she looked at Zwishaoduo, the more she liked him. She said, "Xiaoduo, you don't have a girlfriend yet, right? Are you 17 or 18 this year? Let me tell you, our ancestral Dragon High School is full of beauties." "Which school doesn't have a bunch of beauties?" Outside, Mr. Ma Zhangxi looked up at the sky with his long face and said lightly. Ding Xiulan glared at him. When she was about to continue, she heard sarcastic remarks again. The one who spoke was still Ma Zhangxi. He looked up at the sky and said, with Zwishaoduo's looks, how could he lack beauties? "Ha, Ma Zhangxi." Ding Xiulan was furious. "What nonsense are you spouting? Is it your Huayang High School's turn to be presumptuous here?" Ma Zhangxi still looked up at the sky. He was slightly disappointed, but his tone was still light. "Huayang High School is not one of the top 3 schools, but I can guarantee that we can have 3 wives and 4 concubines. From now on, old Ma, will become a pimp." Bang. Ding Xiulan couldn't take it anymore. She kicked Ma Zhangxi and flew out. Then she jumped up and hit him again. Who couldn't understand Ma Zhangxi's words? Huayang High School was not a genius like him. Ma Zhangxi was well aware of that. His words were so explicit. He was basically mocking Ding Xiulan for being a pimp. She was old. What? How could Ding Xiulan not be furious? "Did I give you face?" Sarcastic remarks after sarcastic remarks directed at me. "Wasn't it just because I tore your love letter and beat you up back then? Do you have to remember it until now?" That afternoon, on the way back to the hotel, Zwishaoduo and the others were accompanied by many teachers from Huayang High School. After that, they went to meet them during lunchtime. At night, they would meet a few of them who would drop by. As for Hu Ruoyun and Luo Lai, they had become the most sought-after people. Zwishaoduo is a child who respects his teacher. He is righteous, honest, and has a beautiful chest. A student like him would definitely respect his teacher. I believe that it would be better if his teacher spoke a few words for him. This was the common thought of all the teachers in the high school. Hu Ruiyun and Luo Lai received gifts the entire night. If they were to take them out, the room would not be able to hold them all. No matter how much he said he didn't want it, the other party still kept stuffing it into his hands. It was just a token of his sincerity. It wasn't enough to show his respect. He had to accept it. If he didn't accept it, he wouldn't be giving face. Li Chenglong and the others also basked in the limelight. Every martial arts teacher who came over would ask about the little guy's cultivation with great concern, and then casually give them some pointers. He wanted to show that he was kind and amiable, an excellent teacher who was easy to get close to and did not put on airs. What's more, Luo Yenling directly sent the admission letter to Yumoy. Furthermore, there were promises and all kinds of promises. The strength of the promise was far greater than expected. Li Zhongming also received the admission letter from Dragon Soul High School, and also a bunch of promises. Originally, these could not be considered important. Li Changming's battle with Shimin Daqing had already become a hot topic. Naturally, many martial arts schools had the idea of recruiting him. However, the Dragon Soul Martial Arts School had an old teacher of virtue and prestige. He himself also cultivated the Great Dream Divine Technique. That year, when this teacher made a move, he made the 30,000 soldiers of the Umno Alliance fall asleep, lying on the ground and waiting to be slaughtered. It could be said that this was a legendary killing machine. Unfortunately, there was a way to break it. After that, the great senior of the Umno Alliance personally made a move. He hid in the army and pretended to be in a dream. Then, his spiritual powers suddenly exploded. With a much stronger spiritual power, he broke the foundation of the Great Dream Divine Technique. That was why this teacher returned to the Dragon Soul sect. Today, when he heard that a successor of the Great Dream Divine Technique had appeared in the Dragon and Tiger ranking tournament, the old man almost ran over that night. Then, he gave a death order. If you don't bring this student back, the few of you who went to be the judges, don't come back. If this old man loses such a successor, there's no meaning in living anymore. I might as well die and die. When the teachers of Dragon Soul High School received the news, they were almost scared to death. They ran over and almost swore to do Li Zhongming's job. In the end, it was Hu Ruiyun who helped Li Zhongming make the decision. Li Zhongming, go to Dragon Soul High School. This matter was settled. Yes, just this matter. Hu Ruiyun's spatial ring was filled up because of this, following in the footsteps of Zhuoxiao Duo. 2 sleeves of gold wind, and the quality was not inferior by much. There were also many famous schools that looked for Long Yuxing, but Long Yuxing only said one sentence. Wherever Xiao Air goes, I will go. Everyone understood this point. After all, a long-distance relationship could easily lead to a tragedy. That, however, Wan Lixiu was not so easy to decide. After all, she came from a huge family with a deep background, and she still had to listen to her family's opinion. It was probably because of this layer of relationship that several schools threw over 2 acceptance letters. Wherever you want to go, you can choose from them. As for Li Chenglong, his choice of school was more interesting. It could be simply summed up in one sentence. If possible, I will go wherever Zhua goes. With his swollen qualifications and his profound knowledge, even the 3 famous schools would be happy to accept him. It could be said that almost no high school would reject him. The so-called Iron Straight Man and so on, not only was it not a minus point, but it was also a big plus point. However, he expressed his intention to follow Zhuoxiao Duo, which caused some twists and turns in his future path. This was because while Zhuoxiao Duo became popular, it also became a compromise between the high schools. It was basically impossible for a school to accept both Zhuoxiao Duo and Li Chenglong at the same time. Once this was done, it would definitely cause a lot of dissatisfaction from the other schools. For this reason, Hu Ruiyun specially looked for Li Chenglong to have a deep talk. She even told him the original words of the old principle. Everyone should be the main character in their respective roles. Everyone should go and seize their own destiny. Don't gather together. However, Li Chenglong turned a deaf ear to all of this and did not care at all. Teacher Hu, you also know that my strength is not in my martial strength, but more in my own encyclopedic knowledge and photographic memory. And all of this, from a certain point of view, is a support. My best position is definitely not to charge and break through enemy lines, but to support. Even though my body will continue to grow stronger, I will never become a candidate for Commander-in-Chief. My position will only fall on the side of the Commander-in-Chief. Strategists, aides, and so on. Giving advice and suggestions is where I can display my abilities the most. Following Zhua, I don't have to think about anything. Li Chenglong said, all the strategic decisions and general direction will be made by him, and I will be in charge of the details, deductions, arrangements, planning. All of this. I am not a talented commander, nor am I a talented general, and I will definitely not be the vanguard. I have always been very clear about my position. Therefore, between me and Zhua, there is no need for any underlings, and there is also no problem of my destiny being seized. Li Chenglong appeared to be abnormally clear-headed. This is my position in life. This will never change, and it will never change. There was one thing that Swollen did not say. It was that Zhuxiaodua's Flaming Sun Sutra was of great benefit to Li Chenglong. Even if it was just practicing by Zhuxiaodua's side, Swollen could still improve by leaps and bounds. You want me to quit being Zhua's underling? Even if a god came, it would be impossible. I'm definitely hugging this thigh. Hu Ruiyun also felt a lot of emotions after hearing Li Chenglong's long-winded speech. Since Li Chenglong had already made up his mind, his position was clear, and he had reason and evidence. Hu Ruiyun did not say anything more, but she felt a little strange in her heart. This world-famous brother Steele actually said that he was actually just a support and wanted to be the man besides Zhuxiaoduo. Why did this make people feel strange when they heard it? That the top four had been smoothly decided. Phoenix City Second High, Water City First High, Fenghai Third High, and Phoenix Tail First High. Yang Luo First High, who was ranked second on the hot list to win the championship, actually did not lose much of their true strength after the battle with Phoenix City Second High. However, their trump card, Lan Bingrui, was gone, and they lost their strongest combat power. This was the main reason why they swept out of the top four. Although Fenghai Third High lost to Water City First High, they drew lots to face Yang Luo First High again and won. In the end, it was still Phoenix Tail against Songshan. After another round, Phoenix Tail First High still won. At this point, Phoenix Tail First High successfully entered the top four and created a historical ranking for their school. The higher-ups and students of Phoenix Tail First High knew very well that their school was already at its limit. It was destined to be impossible for them to take another step forward. The defeated Songshan First High still needed to fight with Yang Luo First High to determine the 5th and 6th rankings. However, no one cared about that anymore. The top four drew lots. Phoenix City Second High against Fenghai Third High. Water City First High against Phoenix Tail First High. Half a morning later, the two battles were over. Phoenix City Second High and Water City First High won one after another. The champion and runner-up would be between the two teams. The third place would be between Fenghai Third High and Phoenix Tail First High. Phoenix Tail First High realized that the situation that was beneficial to them did not appear and could not help but be disappointed. It was probably because no one had suffered much damage in the semifinals. The scene of Phoenix City Second High beating up Fenghai Third High did not appear, nor did they cripple Fenghai Third High. In this way, they would be facing a complete Fenghai Third High School. The two sides were not on the same level at all. How could they not be disappointed? However, Phoenix Tail First High was satisfied after picking up all the advantages along the way. There was no need for the students to go up and lose face again and be beaten up. Therefore, after the school's higher-ups discussed it, they made a joint decision: admit defeat and give up on the last round of the competition. Therefore, the third place of this year's Longhu list was released first. Furthermore, it was released 3 days earlier than the champion and runner-up. This matter was also a historical precedent. This made everyone feel disappointed and frustrated. Fortunately, there was still the battle between the champion and runner-up to watch, so it was not too disappointing. Chapter 350. Everyone was looking forward to the Battle of the Champions 3 days later, which was the 5th of September. Yes, that's right, it was the 5th of September. The competition started on the 18th, and it had been 15 days since then. This date had been set long ago. The 5th of September would be the finals of the champions and runners-up. The winner would be crowned as the emperor. Only the Central Plains had the right to hold the finals on the 5th of September. No other regions could do it. Not even the martial arts competition in Shangjing could. Since ancient times, there was a saying that established the transcendent status of the Central Plains. Fight for the throne in the Central Plains. Only by winning the battle for the throne in the Central Plains could one become the emperor. In other regions, they weren't qualified and didn't count. Only the last competition was left. 3 more days. After getting 3 days of rest, the 6 from Phoenix City gave up on cultivating and went out to play. Nanji City was very big, and there were many fun places to play. For them, who had never been to this city before, it was still very attractive. Luo Lai followed them out, but Hu Ruoyun didn't follow them. She stayed behind to summarize what she had seen and learned. Regarding this summary, she wrote it very thoroughly, meticulously. From the champion teams and their students, we can deduce the strengths and weaknesses of their schools, as well as the areas where they are stronger than us. From the current situation of the participating teams, we can analyze the current situation of the schools, and combine it with last year's ranking and this year's ranking. We can make up for our shortcomings by summarizing them. We can work hard for the future. Zhou Xiaoduo, Li Chenglong, Long Yuxing. These kinds of genius students don't appear every year. The most important reason for this is that teacher Qin Fangyang burned his own soul to pass on his knowledge to his students. The excellent results this time were just a coincidence, a result of a moment of luck. We must be vigilant against wishful thinking. We must go around inspecting retired and disabled soldiers. Those who are qualified will be given a letter of appointment to become a lecturer in the school. We must nurture the mighty iron and blood spirit of the students. There was a lot more. Hu Ruoyun racked her brain and wrote down everything she had seen, heard, and analyzed bit by bit. We may not be able to enter the High Martial Arts Academy, but the students of the High Martial Arts Academy are all sent over by schools like ours. We work hard to ensure that the talents we send out are the best. Even if his martial prowess is slightly lacking, his character must be of the highest quality. The old principal's wish is truly insightful. We may not be able to do as well as the old principal, but we can turn our efforts into results bit by bit and gradually build perfection. The plan is as follows. She had been writing since the morning, and had been writing all day, stopping to rest when she was tired, or looking out of the window and meditating, and then going on. It wasn't until his stomach rumbled that he felt hungry. He looked up and saw that the sky had darkened. Only then did he stop. She immediately felt that there was something wrong beside her. She saw that teacher Ding Xiulan of the Ancestral Dragon was right beside her. She was looking at Hu Ruoyun with eyes full of admiration and respect. "Mr. Ding, when did you arrive?" Hu Ruoyun was a little shocked. "Why didn't I notice it at all? I've been here for almost a day." Ding Xiulan exclaimed in admiration, "I've been watching you write for a whole day. Teacher Hu's notes. Every word is a gem. You have great foresight and meticulous thoughts. Overflowing with talent is not enough to describe you. Thank you for the compliment, Mr. Ding." Hu Ruoyun was a little embarrassed by the compliment. "It's not a compliment at all." Ding Xiulan's eyes were burning. "Teacher Hu, only someone like you can be called a real teacher. You teach and educate people, and you're a role model. You deserve all of our respect." She pondered for a moment and said, "Teacher Hu, I wonder if you're interested in coming to Shangjing's Ancestral Dragon High Martial Arts Academy? I believe that with a talent like you, if you go to Ancestral Dragon, you'll definitely be able to play a greater role and educate talents better." Hu Ruoyun laughed. "You're too kind, Mr. Ding. You want me, a person who has been crippled for many years and just started over, to go to Ancestral Dragon High Martial Arts Academy to teach? How am I qualified?" "No, you're qualified. You're more qualified than anyone else." Ding Xiaolan said seriously and solemnly, Teacher Hu, I'm sincerely inviting you. I'm not being hypocritical. No. Hu Ruoyun shook her head firmly and refused. A gentle smile appeared on her face. I promised the old principal that I would take good care of Phoenix City's second high school. What a pity. Ding Xiaolan requested, Teacher Hu, you've already finished writing these. Can you let me make a copy and bring it back? Hu Ruoyun hesitated for a moment and said, as long as Teacher Ding doesn't mind, I'm fine with it. Ding Xiaolan felt as if she had received a treasure. Thank you, Teacher Hu. Let's go. I'll treat you to a meal. How can I accept that? Of course. Ding Xiaolan went to make a copy first. Then, the two of them found a quiet and secluded shop. They listened to the gentle music and chatted quietly. Both of them felt very comfortable. I wonder where Xiao Duo and the others have run off to play now. After eating for a while, Hu Ruoyun could not help but start to worry about her students when night fell. You don't have to worry about them. Ding Xiaolan smiled and said, now, those children are the treasures in the eyes of the various high martial arts universities. Dozens of high martial arts teachers have followed and protected them the moment they went out today. How could anything happen to them? Hu Ruoyun pursed her lips and smiled. That's why I didn't go out. Just now, I couldn't help but nag a little when I saw that it was already late. Ding Xiaolan smiled and said, Teacher Hu, I have a favor to ask of you. Hu Ruoyun smiled faintly. You want to know more about Xiao Duo? Ding Xiaolan nodded repeatedly. There's nothing wrong with that. Hu Ruoyun sighed softly. Xiao Duo, this child has a hard life. What do you mean by that? Ding Xiaolan was immediately interested. Ding Xiaolan was a high martial arts teacher. Regardless of cultivation, strength, identity, or background, she was extraordinary. Her sharp eyes were unique. Based on her understanding of Xiao Duo and her judgment and inference, even if Xiao Duo's background was not as good as Lan Bingrui's, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Just based on his mastery of the three martial arts of the Kunlun Taoist sect, his mastery of rare divine weapons, and his success in cultivating the Flaming Sun divine skill, it was reasonable to say that Xiao Duo was a seed disciple carefully cultivated by an ancient martial arts family. If I told you that all of his achievements were achieved in a short period of time, and that he was just a martial disciple half a year ago, how would you feel? Hu Ruoyun smiled bitterly and said sadly, this child, these years have been really hard. How is this possible? Ding Xiaolan exclaimed and stood up. She couldn't help but raise her voice a little, which attracted the attention of the guests at the surrounding tables. Ding Xiaolan hurriedly sat back down and quietly waited for Hu Ruoyun to continue. This is true, it's not a lie. Hu Ruoyun said sadly, why do you think Xiao Duo seems to be afraid of me? It's not fear, it's respect. I watched him walk over every day. At that time, my cultivation was destroyed, so I could only teach the martial disciple class. And Xiao Duo in my class stayed back for 5 years. Ding Xiaolan was stunned by these words. Now, Xiao Duo, who appeared out of nowhere and dominated the competition, actually stayed back for 5 years in the martial disciple class? I don't know what happened to his astral souls, but it was suppressed. And he couldn't break through. In the 5 years he stayed back, he put in a lot more effort than ordinary people. In Hu Ruoyun's words, Xiao Duo was like a painting that slowly unfolded in front of Ding Xiaolan. He was strong, tenacious, endured humiliation, was indomitable, righteous, looked at the big picture, respected his teachers, loved to protect the weak, worked hard to the extreme, shouldered all the pressure by himself, and smiled as if he didn't care about it. In a private room separated from the two of them, the hidden dragon high school teacher Zhang Xiaofei pricked up his ears, carefully listening to the conversation. His face was full of lingering fear. When he said half a year ago he was still a martial disciple, he couldn't help but hit the table. Fortunately, Ding Xiaolan's side made more noise and covered it. But he still had lingering fear. Sure enough, it's easier for women to get close to each other. Luckily, I found out in time and followed her out. Today, I took the right step. I didn't expect Xiao Duo to have such a hard time. He's a good seedling, a good child. With this experience, his state of mind will be much higher than his peers. No one can compare to him. Zhang Xiaofei was deep in thought, but he was even more careful and didn't make any sound. Ding Xiulan came to find Hu Ruoyun to understand the situation. It could be said that she found the right person, but it could also be said that she found the wrong person. The so-called right person meant that in this world, there was no one who could understand Zhou Xiaoduo better than Hu Run. Even Zhou Changlu, Wu Yuding, and Zhou Xiaoyan didn't know as much as Hu Ruoyun in this aspect. From Hu Ruoyun, one could understand an extremely comprehensive and complete Zhou Xiaoduo. But to say that she found the wrong person, it was because what she understood from Hu Ruoyun was a Zhou Xiaoduo who had no flaws at all. He was almost like a saint. For someone like Zhou Xiaoduo, from Hu Ruoyun to understand him, it was completely different. The Zhou Xiaoduo in Hu Ruoyun's mouth and the real Zhou Xiaoduo were totally different, but all of Hu Ruoyun's words were from the bottom of her heart. Because in her eyes, Zhou Xiaoduo was such a perfect child. She couldn't find any flaws in him at all. This was the truth in Hu Ruoyun's eyes. The only one in the world, the best in the world, without any flaws, was Zhou Xiaoduo. He was just a little mischievous, but was that a flaw? That was a merit. Chapter 351. On the day Xiaoduo broke through to martial warrior, I cried when I got home. It's really not easy for this child. Hu Ruoyun blushed and said embarrassedly, "You know, in my last year in class, Xiaoduo was already 1.8 meters tall. The other children were only 1.2 meters. That awkwardness, sigh." As a woman, Ding Xiulan was naturally a very emotional person. Hearing this, her eyes also reddened. She could empathize with her. It's really not easy, this child. Just half a year ago, I sent Xiaoduo to the martial warrior class. Xiaoduo was already at the door, but he rushed back and hugged me. He said in my ear, "Teacher Hu, thank you." Hu Ruoyun's eyes were filled with tears. She choked and said, "I think I'll never forget that scene for the rest of my life." I don't know if it's because of his accumulation or something else, but ever since Xiaoduo broke through to martial warrior, he suddenly began to improve by leaps and bounds. In just a week, he broke through from martial warrior to martial master. Then, he quickly advanced to the peak of martial master. Ding Xiulan opened her mouth, but she didn't ask. She wanted to ask if this was too fast, and if it was hard to strengthen his foundation, it wouldn't be good for long-term planning. However, after thinking about it, she still chose to listen. Just as he was about to lose control of his breakthrough and break through to Xiantian, his homeroom teacher, Teacher Qin Fangyang, forcefully interrupted his breakthrough. Hu Ruoyun said, "Good. Well done." Ding Xiulan couldn't help but applaud. This Teacher Qin did a good job. Then, Hu Ruoyun hesitated. Ding Xiulan's heart was itching. She couldn't help but ask, "Then how many times did Zhou Xiaoduo suppress his inner yuan to break through in the martial master realm?" On the other side, Zhang Xiaofei instantly raised his cultivation to the extreme. His ears almost grew out of their sockets as he concentrated. This question was too critical, too urgent. Hu Ruoyun hesitated even more and didn't answer for a long time. This kind of huge problem of the student's foundation was not something that could be casually discussed. However, the other party was a teacher from one of the top 3 martial arts universities. It was related to Zhou Xiaoduo's future, and it was also related to whether or not he was valued in school, and to what extent. After a long time, Hu Ruoyun lowered her voice and said, "As far as I know, at least 14 or 15 times. Pooh!" Ding Xiulan spat out a mouthful of coffee. She was so shocked that her eyes widened. 10, 14 or 15 times. Teacher Hu's 9 is the limit. Sorry. She had originally planned to suppress it 5 or 6 times in such a short period of time, and that was already her limit. They were all prepared to praise him. What a genius! In the end, it turned out to be 14 or 15 times, and that was the least. Not only did he fail to say the words he had prepared, but he also spat out coffee all over Hu Ruoyun's body. She hurriedly apologized and took out a napkin in a flurry. On the other side, Zhang Xiaofei was doing the same thing. He covered his mouth and tried his best to endure the coughing. He endured it so much that he rolled his eyes and didn't dare to make a sound. Scared me to death. Since ancient times, who could suppress the true essence agitation more than 10 times? This Washao duo, however, did it directly to 14 or 15 times. What the fuck? This could no longer be described as a monstrous genius. It could only be described with the word fuck. This matter is true. Hu Ruoyun calmly wiped the coffee on her body and said, "This point, Qin Fangyang and Li Changjiang all know." Based on the time, when he was about to break through, didn't he have to suppress it once or twice a day? Ding Xiulan still felt that it was inconceivable, so she asked. Hu Ruoyun nodded. No wonder he could carry a weight of more than 10,000 pounds and jump around as if nothing was wrong. Ding Xiulan muttered, "This is really too shocking." Hu Ruoyun smiled faintly and said, "This child has always been low-key. When he was in school, he always carried a weight of 70,000 pounds and entered the 50x gravity room to cultivate." Ding Xiulan, who originally felt numb from the shock and wanted to drink coffee to calm down, spat out another mouthful of coffee. Then she coughed again, choking her eyes until they were straight. Finally, Hu Ruoyun learned her lesson and did not spit out the second mouthful of coffee. Ding Xiulan, who was still coughing, suddenly frowned. Then she floated up and shouted, "Who?" It was Zhan Xiaofei, who was on the other side, who was shocked for the second time, choking and coughing. Ding Xiulan immediately noticed it, and he reacted quickly. He immediately felt that something was wrong, but when he was about to leave, Ding Xiulan had already pounced on him. A ray of sword light appeared, and its power was approaching. Zhan Xiaofei hurriedly stood up and waved his hands. Don't fight, we're on the same side." On the same side. Seeing that it was him, Ding Xiulan did not know that she was being followed. She was embarrassed and angry at the same time, and even a little hysterical. This bastard, he saw all of this mother's loss of self-control and even eavesdropped on my exclusive information. Suddenly, a violent emotion rushed to her head. Who is on the same side as you? Go and die. Despicable and shameless old bastard. The power of the sword light did not decrease, but increased instead. It rushed down violently, revealing a dense killing intent. Zhan Xiaofei saw the situation and knew that it was not good. He shouted and used all his strength to stomp a big hole in the floor. His body fell down and he laughed loudly. "I won't fight with you. A good man doesn't fight with a woman. I'll have to trouble teacher Ding to compensate." The last sentence came from thousands of meters away. He actually left in defeat. Anyway, he knew what he should and shouldn't know. This was enough. If he didn't leave, was he waiting for the tigress to flip out? Bastard. Looking at the dusty hole, the whole shop was in a mess, and there were all kinds of loud exclamations. Ding Xiulan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. In the end, she could only walk back resentfully and say angrily, "It's Zhan Xiaofei from the Hidden Dragon High School. This bastard, he's too rude. He secretly hid here to listen to our private conversation. Sigh, I'm so angry." Hu Ruoyun's eyes lit up. Is it Teacher Zhan from the Hidden Dragon High School? That's really great. This sentence was really what she thought in her heart, and she couldn't help but blurt it out. In Ding Xiulan's ears, there was no need to mention how it felt. She was too embarrassed to flare up, so she could only sulk. She was so angry that her breasts grew a cup size. Zhuo Duo and the others went out to play. Many high school teachers secretly followed them, afraid that something would happen to these precious children. Then, many people guessed where these guys would go to play. But they didn't know that the 6 of them had already discussed at the hotel entrance. Wan Lixio said, "Why don't we go buy clothes? It's my treat. No matter what you want to buy, I'll pay for it." The other 5 shook their heads neatly, like 5 puppies shaking their heads together, not going. No one was willing to take advantage of such a ready-made bargain. Even Zhuo Duo, who valued money more than life, was no exception. They knew that if there were only 5 boys shopping together, it would only take a snap of the fingers to spend money. But if there was another girl, it would be hard to say if there was enough time in the day. Not only would it consume money, but it would also consume their feet, shoes, and spirit. Li Chenglong suggested, let's go bungee jumping. I heard that Nanji City's bungee jumping facilities are very famous. Everyone who comes here for the first time will try it. The five of them shook their heads together. Do you still think you're an ordinary person? Everyone can jump more than 100 meters with a casual jump. What bungee jumping? Zhou Xiaoduo said, I bungee jump hundreds of times a day. I'm already tired of it. Yu Moyan suggested, why don't we go play with guns? The five of them shook their heads. They were all experts in cultivation, so they weren't interested in this kind of thing. In the end, it was Zhou Xiaoduo who suggested, let's go to the amusement park. Amusement park? Everyone shook their heads in secret. This was even more unreliable. Only children would play there, right? How old are you? Why do you still want to go to the amusement park? Unexpectedly, when the other five heard this suggestion, they were unusually happy. They unanimously agreed and led the way in high spirits. The martial arts teachers looked at this scene with blank eyes. They felt that their worldview had been shattered, and they couldn't understand it. However, they could only secretly follow the few of them to the amusement park. They saw a few tall and burly fellows riding the merry-go-round. They swayed up and down on the merry-go-round, laughing uncontrollably and making all kinds of strange sounds on purpose, causing people to cry out in surprise. After playing for a long time, they reluctantly went to line up for the pirate ship. Then, they went to ride the roller coaster. They made a big fuss all the way to the finish line. After that, 6 of them lined up, holding small bamboo poles, and went to the man-made pond to fish. They fished for half an hour without moving, but they still didn't catch a single fish. All the rides in the amusement park were happily played by these fellows, but they still didn't have enough. Li Chenglong, who had the most fun, suggested, why don't we come back tomorrow and play for another day? He immediately received unanimous agreement. Many of the martial arts teachers fell silent. After a long time, they sighed. They almost didn't have a childhood, right? One of the teachers was silent for a long time, and suddenly said, that's probably it. After sighing together, they all felt an inexplicable sadness in their hearts. Perhaps ordinary people and children who didn't have the aptitude for cultivation would be tired of these rides and wouldn't want to play anymore. However, Zhou Xiaoduo and the others had never played them before. This was the trajectory of a martial artist's life. It was the same from childhood to adulthood. Then, the 6 of them started a rock-paper-scissors game. Whoever lost would have to treat them to a meal. In the end, Zhou Xiaoduo lost, and this fellow began to act shamelessly. He was captured by the 5 of them and escorted to a restaurant while laughing and chatting happily. They are really close. They didn't come together because of this tournament. One of the teachers was envious. Yeah, how could Zhou Xiaoduo lack this little money? Acting shamelessly is just a joke, another teacher said. That's right. Zhou Xiaoduo doesn't look like a stingy person. The 6 of them ate until their bellies were round. After they came out of the restaurant, they sat quietly at the Spirit Spring Square and enjoyed the night view. They looked at the old men, old women, middle-aged people who were dancing in the square, and children who were giggling as they ran around in the crowd. They looked at the colorful neon lights around them, but they looked at it quietly. Chapter 352. It was 10 o'clock at night when they went back to the hotel to sleep. Early the next morning, the 6 of them went to the amusement park again and played the whole day. When they were on the roller coaster again, they heard Zhou Xiaoduo scolding, I was wondering why we were so slow today. Yu Moyan, put away your weights. Yu Moyan looked like he had committed a crime and quickly moved. They even brought weights when they came out to play. A teacher sighed. How could it be a coincidence to have such achievements? In the shadows, a graceful figure looked enviously at Zhou Xiaoduo and the others who were playing around. She said faintly, Master, I've never played this before. On the other side, the other shadow sighed and didn't say anything for a long time. For 3 consecutive days, Zhou Xiaoduo and the other 5 spent their days in the amusement park, yelling and shouting as they played. Every day, they played until the amusement park closed. On the last day, the 6 of them still walked out of the amusement park reluctantly. Looking at the closed gate, the 6 of them stood in front of it silently for a long time. After a long time, they finally turned and left. Along the way, the 6 of them were silent. No one said a word. A few of them even looked back as they walked, looking at the amusement park that was getting further and further away. The 6 of them knew clearly in their hearts that in this lifetime, they would probably never be able to enjoy themselves as much as they had in the past 3 days. This kind of place didn't belong to them. It was already a privilege to have these 3 days. In the future, they probably wouldn't have another chance to come here. Even if they did, it wouldn't be as neat as today. When the Longhu ranking tournament ended, they would all go to the higher martial arts college to study. It was a foregone conclusion that they would be separated from each other. Each of them had their own life, their own opportunities, their own pursuits, their own battles, and their own lives. In fact, it was extremely difficult for the 6 of them to gather together in an orderly manner. The 6 of them walked on the road in silence. The streetlights stretched their shadows. Under the high light, sometimes the shadows of the 6 bodies merged together, and sometimes they were separated, each drawing a long and narrow shadow. Zhuoxiao Duo laughed and said, "Is there a need to be so silent and sad? Let me teach you a song to make you feel more sad." The others forced themselves to be spirited and smiled. "All right, please begin your performance," Zhuoxiao Duo said softly as he walked in silence. "All these years, I've been alone. The wind has passed, the rain has gone. Friends walk together for a lifetime, those days will no longer exist. A sentence, a lifetime of love, a cup of wine. Friends have never been lonely, you will understand when I call you a friend. There are also wounds, there is also pain, there is also you, there is also me." Zhuoxiao Duo sang softly, over and over again. Slowly, Wan Lixio joined in, then Long Yuxing, Li Chenglong, and finally Yu Moyan. That Zhuoxiao Duo had forgotten how many times he had sung the song. Anyway, everyone had learned it and could sing it completely. Everyone's eyes were red as they sang in a low voice. Especially the lines, "Friends walk together for a lifetime, those days will no longer exist." They all sang with tears streaming down their faces. Wan Lixio's eyes were red as she said, "Zhuo, you must send me the complete score of this song. In addition, you have to play it for me once, just for me alone." "No problem, no problem." Zhuoxiao Duo laughed. Suddenly, he opened his hands and strode forward, shouting at the top of his voice as he sang, "A sentence, a lifetime of love, a cup of wine." The sadness of the 5 people behind him was suddenly driven away by his strange appearance. They laughed and chased after him, joining in the chorus of singing loudly that there was a series of strange cries. At this time, a window on the tall building next to them suddenly opened, and a man's voice was full of impatience. He scolded, "A group of little bastards, why are you not sleeping in the middle of the night? Go home and sleep. Believe it or not, I will beat you up." Zhuoxiao Duo screamed, "Are you going to be beaten up?" Before his voice died away, he was already the first to run. The 5 people followed Zhuoxiao Duo and ran back to the hotel. They all laughed until tears came out of their eyes. Several high school teachers stopped in the air above the hotel. "Do you think we should set up some roller coasters or something in the school? Why do I suddenly feel so pitiful when I look at this group of children? They don't have anything that ordinary children can have," murmured a teacher. Another person laughed and said, "When you see them live for tens of thousands of years, you won't feel so pitiful anymore. You're just arguing. How dare you say that each of them has tens of thousands of years to live? At present, they are still pitiful after all. No matter how talented they are and how good their cultivation is, they are still children after all, and they are already facing death." The previous teacher sighed and said, "I just heard that there was an ordinary child upstairs who was still playing games all night. His body is so weak that I can't even read it. Yeah, it's better to read a novel." Another teacher said, "There's a person called Wind Conquers the World who wrote it quite well. He's recognized as the world's best." Recognized as the world's best? Is that for real? I'll go take a look when I have time and join a few Golden Alliance or something. I'm not short of money. I've been watching them play for the past 3 days. Other than feeling sorry for them, I also feel that it's quite enjoyable. It's as if I've played with them once. One of the teachers was reminiscing. He touched his chin and said, "When I have time, I'll go sit on that wooden horse too. It seems that it's quite interesting." After receiving a large wave of rolling eyes, everyone went back to their rooms to rest. The next morning, the First Division's venue had been renovated and the arena was erected high. Red decorations hung on all sides. The battle between the champion and the runner-up was about to begin. The battle between the champion and the runner-up was a best-of-7 system. 6 people would fight for 7 rounds. The first 4 rounds could not have the same person. In other words, one person was not allowed to defeat the entire field. One powerhouse was not allowed to carry a team and even win the championship. At the same time, the candidates for the first 4 rounds had to be planned and submitted before the first person appeared. The order could not be changed. No one was allowed to change the person. Violators would be disqualified. In the last 3 rounds, they could send their own people. However, even in the last 3 rounds, one person could only fight at most 2 rounds. All the high martial arts teachers surrounded the entire arena. They wanted to get a closer look at the real battle between the geniuses. Whether it was Water City No. 1 High School or Phoenix City No. 2 High School, they were the best of the best. It could be said that even the weakest person in these 2 teams, with the aptitude of astral souls, would be able to enter the list of seeded contestants of the 3 high martial arts schools. Relatively speaking, Phoenix City No. 2 High School was more popular. The captain, Zuoxiao Duo, was known as Brother Crotch Kick. The vice-captain, Li Chenglong, was popular. The dream technique Li Changming became famous in one battle. Yu Moyan was silent and sharp. Long Yusheng was outstanding and a hero among women. The most important point was that Water City No. 1 High School had once fought Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School and lost on the spot. However, Phoenix City No. 2 High School defeated Hidden Dragon No. 1 High School in its strongest state. This gave people a feeling that Water City No. 1 High School was most likely not the opponent of Phoenix City No. 2 High School. Even the members of Water City No. 1 High School had this thought. The curtain opened. The 2 teams entered the arena. For a time, the audience cheered loudly, one after another, endlessly. Countless long guns, short guns, and flashing lights made Zuoxiao Duo blind. In an instant, he had a subtle feeling that he had become a big star. He almost wanted to shake his butt on the stage and sing a song. On the opposite side, the 6 people from Water City No. 1 High School were all dressed in snow-white clothes. A sharp aura came from them. The 12 people stood facing each other from a distance. Zuoxiao Duo and Zhou Yunqing, the captain of Water City No. 1 High School, took a step forward together. The others did not move. "I am the captain, Zuoxiao Duo. This is our vice-captain, Li Chenglong. This is Long Yusheng, Wan Li Xiu, Li Changming and Yu Moyan." Zuoxiao Duo introduced them one by one with perfect articulation. There was a loud shout in the stands, "Brother Iron and Steel is mighty." Zuoxiao Duo frowned, glanced at Li Chenglong fiercely, and said angrily, "Swollen, go back and wait for me." Li Chenglong felt wronged. "What did I do to you? You stole my limelight." Zuoxiao Duo said bitterly, "I am the captain, but you didn't call my name or Iron Fist young master. Who will take the blame if not you?" Li Chenglong. On the opposite side, Zhou Yunqing showed a smile on his face. "Captain Zua, you don't have to deliberately remind us like this. We won't remember your name, Iron Fist young master." Zhou Yunqing couldn't help but laugh in his heart. At this time, you still want to use Iron Fist young master to fool people. Do you want us to think that you are really unparalleled? Don't worry, we will never be fooled. No matter who picks you, they won't fight with you. They will just admit defeat. I am the captain of Water City's first squadron, Zhou Yunqing. This is our vice-captain, Yan Kuanglei. This is Fang Juexiao. This is Ling Feixue. This is Yu Yan, and the last one is Pai Bao. Zhou Yunqing introduced the last person, and obviously paused. Just as Zuoxiao Duo and the others were puzzled, they finally heard the last person's name. All 6 of them widened their eyes at the same time. Pai Bao. This name. Really? Sounds good. Zuoxiao Duo burst out laughing. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but he really couldn't help it. Listening to the first 5 names, they sounded good, poetic, and imposing. However, when he heard the last name, he really didn't know what to do, and suddenly lost his composure. Captain Zhou, you almost sprained my waist with your sudden coquettishness. Zhuoxiaoduo shook his head and sighed. Then he said to Pai Yibao, Brother Pai, I am really not laughing at you. We are heroes and we never use our names to make fun of you. Pai Yibao's wrinkled face trembled, and his 4 wrinkles bloomed into a chrysanthemum-like smile. He said, It's okay, it's okay. I am used to it since I was young. Cough cough. This smile almost made Zhuoxiaoduo lose his soul. It didn't look like a chrysanthemum at all, but it really did look like one, cough cough, the monthly ticket. The recommendation ticket. Chapter 353. The introductions were over. The 2 captains returned to their respective teams. The 12 of them saluted to each other at the same time. In Shuicheng No. 1 Middle School, everyone was dressed in white. They were taller than snow, and their figures were tall and straight. Well, except for the last person, the first 5 people were handsome men and beautiful women, forming a beautiful scenery. The moment they bowed at the same time, there was an inexplicable cold and sharp chi, like a snow mountain suddenly lowering its head. Their momentum was amazing. As for Phoenix City No. 2 High School, when they bowed, the big words, Phoenix City No. 2 High School, were revealed behind the 6 people. It was especially eye-catching. It was so tacky. This strong contrast made the teachers of the high school who were watching the battle behind Zhuoxiaoduo's team almost laugh out loud. Have you drafted the list of participants? Ding Xiulan asked. The referees of this competition were almost all familiar people. They were from the 3 high schools and 6 teachers. Yes, they were right. The 6 referees were all from the 3 high schools. The other schools didn't even get a spot. Ma Zhangxi, who was standing at the side, grimaced from time to time. His face was full of indignation. Ordinary high school students didn't have human rights. Ma Zhangxi wanted to shout, but he didn't dare to. He was afraid that he would be beaten. I'm allowed, knew better than to fight when the odds were against me. It's done, it's done. It's done a long time ago. Zhuoxiaoduo happily walked over and handed over his team's name list. He said sweetly, Teachers, why do you all look so familiar? Don't tell me you've been working overtime for the past few days? Take care of your body. It's really too tiring. Ding Xiulan said with a loving face, It's rare for you to be so considerate. Look, I've prepared food. As she spoke, she took out a bag of melon seeds and asked, Do you want to eat? Zhuoxiaoduo laughed dryly. I don't dare to eat. When you're done, I'll treat you, Ding Xiulan said. Zhan Xiaofei coughed. Teacher Ding, mind your image. Immediately after, he said in an amiable tone, Zhuoxiaoduo, you can do it. Zhuoxiaoduo nodded repeatedly with a simple and honest look on his face. He smiled and said, Teacher Zhan, you look much better today than you did a few days ago. Zhan Xiaofei was overjoyed and said, Really? You even know how to read people's complexion? Zhuoxiaoduo said, I know a little. Actually, I'm best at reading faces. With your physiognomy, you're destined to be famous in the future. You have a good physiognomy. Zhan Xiaofei's eyes narrowed, and his heart was bursting with joy. Is that so? Haha, if it's possible, let me take a good look. My name shakes the world. Is it because I took in a good student? On the other side, Cui Shangyan's face was full of dissatisfaction. Teacher Zhan, is this the time to chat? Pay attention to your manners. Zhuoxiaoduo said obediently, Hello, Teacher Cui. Thank you for your hard work. Cui Shangyan smiled like a flower. Xiaoduo, did you sleep well last night? I heard that he went to the amusement park for the past few days. When you come to Shangjing, I'll take you to the amusement park there. It's much bigger than here. You'll definitely be able to enjoy yourself. Zhuoxiaoduo's eyes lit up. Really? Of course it's true. Cui Shangyan introduced excitedly. Let me tell you, the amusement park in Shangjing, inside. Just as he was about to give an example to encourage Zhuoxiaoduo's interest, he remembered that he had never been to an amusement park before. He was completely ignorant about the facilities there, so it was hard for him to say anything. He forcefully changed the topic and said, "It's really fun inside. In the bar, there are many beautiful ladies. Their clothes." On the side, Ding Xiulan and Zhang Xiaofei roared at the same time. "Cui Shangyan, you shameless person. Are you trying to teach your child bad things?" Cough cough. Cui Shangyan didn't care at all and just smiled. "My words were like farts, so why should I care? So what if I don't want Bai Lian?" He continued to smile and said, "Little duo, as long as you really come, I will take you wherever you want to go. Whatever you want to play, I will take you to play." Zhang Xiaofei looked up and sighed. He's really like a girl. The first time he's so shy and unwilling, but after the first time, he doesn't care anymore. This Cui Shengyan. Ding Xiulan raised her eyebrows and said angrily, "Zhang Xiaofei, what do you mean? Cui Shangyan's shamelessness is his own business. What does it have to do with a girl? If you don't know how to speak, then shut your stinky mouth." Zuoxiao Duo looked at them. "I'm just here to flatter them. I don't mean anything else. Why did they start fighting?" The smell of gunpowder was getting stronger. "Teacher, I'll go back and prepare for the competition." He slipped away, wiping his sweat on the way. That place was really too dangerous. "Yes, good luck," the 5 judges said together. Zuoxiao Duo handed in the name list. It took a full 10 minutes. After a few rounds of greetings, Zhou Yunqing stood at the side and waited. He was not anxious at all. His expression did not change at all. Zuoxiao Duo could not help but praise him in his heart. Don't underestimate the greetings before the competition. Politeness, etiquette, respect, chatting. As long as the teacher responded, no matter if it was 1 sentence or 2, the other team students would be ignored. And out of respect for the teacher who was speaking, the other teachers would not interrupt at this time. The other team could only awkwardly stand at the side and wait under the watchful eyes of everyone. Don't underestimate this short period of time. It was a huge blow to a person's psyche. Countless people were watching. This was a live broadcast. I'm just going to stand here like an idiot? How embarrassing. First, he felt disgusted. Why are you so troublesome, Zuoxiao Duo? Are you deliberately trying to intimidate me? Aren't you just trying to create an opportunity to ignore me by talking over there? Then he became more and more angry. His mouth is so sweet. What should I do? Should I greet him? Would it have the opposite effect of making a fool of himself? But if I don't greet him, will the teacher think of me? If I don't greet him, I'll be nervous. Will the teacher be dissatisfied with me? If I greet him, I'll be even more annoyed. Why should I imitate him? And the teacher's reaction after greeting him would trigger countless thoughts. If he was enthusiastic, it would be fine. If he was indifferent or ignored him, he would start to think again. And so on. I won't go into detail. And all of this should not have happened. Everyone went up together, handed in the name list, and came back immediately. There was no need to think about anything. But because of Zuoxiao's words, it triggered all of this. It was a pressure even for adults, let alone a group of half-grown children. In the previous few matches, Zuoxiao's opponents were almost all affected. And this move was an open and above-board trick. I can lower my face, can you? Even if you can, I'll be the first to take advantage of you. Even if you beat me to it, I can still say it better than you. When did Masters would care about his face? As long as he could defeat his opponent, he would spare no effort. But the captain of Shui City First High School was not affected at all. He just stood there and waited calmly. There was no fluctuation in his heart at all. This was the first time that Zuoxiao's trick had failed. Teacher, this is our name list. Please take a look. Zhou Yunqing strode forward with his head held high and handed over the name list with both hands. Okay. Ding Xiulan took it. Yunqing, you can do it? Thank you, teacher. Zhou Yunqing bowed and walked back. Zuoxiao Duo stood in front of his team and looked at Zhou Yunqing. He silently commented in his heart, I'm an old silver. He's as steady as an old dog. Damn it, I've met my opponent today. I won't fall in the final, right? After handing over the name list, both sides saluted each other and gave each other the greatest respect. Then, they returned to their seats and sat down, waiting for the battle to begin. Ding Xiulan stood up solemnly and said in a serious voice, "The name list of the two teams is already in my hands. And this name list is not allowed to be changed." Ding Xiulan smiled. "Now, it's up to the captains and vice-captains of the two teams to arrange their troops. Next, I announce that the first player from Phoenix City First High School is Vice-Captain Li Chenglong. Shui City First High School's candidate is Vice-Captain Yan Kuanglei." Ding Xiulan glanced at the name list for the second time. Her eyes flashed with surprise. She smiled and said, "The lineups of the two teams are almost the same. For the first battle, they didn't send out their strongest captains. Instead, they sent out their second strongest vice-captains. It seems that they both want their vice-captains to take the first round and win. Unfortunately, their thoughts are the same, and their vice-captains met with each other. Next, let's see who will win and who will be the stronger one." The candidates for the first round indeed caused an uproar. Zhou Xiaoduo and Zhou Yunqing also looked at each other thoughtfully. The two vice-captains stood out at the same time. However, Yan Kuanglei's momentum was like a glass of water compared to Li Chenglong's. The entire stands and the audience were a sea of people. Red flags fluttered, and they roared and cheered in unison. They were all Li Chenglong's fans. "Brother Iron! Come on! Brother Iron! Victory!" On the internet, the people who were watching the live broadcast spontaneously established a Iron God sect. This sect had only been established for a few days, but the number of people who joined had already exceeded the 10 million mark. It became a mudslide on the internet. "Brother Iron, come on! Sect leader! Domineering! Sect leader is mighty, unifying the Jianghu. What beauty! Make her cry with one punch! Iron God sect, I'm lonely! Bachelor's kennel, 7 seas and 5 lakes. Ow 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 ow, woof 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 woof. Sect leader, why did you hit a man this time? Change to another one." Sect leader, hit the little sister in the next battle. In the arena, shouts and whistles pierced through the clouds and fog. On the internet, words and phrases formed a tsunami. Iron God sect, Brother Iron, Li Chenglong, was the well-deserved sect leader that everyone had high hopes for. When the sect leader came out to fight, a group of followers cheered at the top of their lungs. This group of people were all single dogs. Every day, they were bootlickers but couldn't lick anything. They were the kind that got sick of eating dog food. Finally, they saw a Brother Iron who could grab a beauty and run wild. They immediately had a backbone. One by one, they waved their flags and shouted, shaking their heads and wagging their tails. At this moment, the Iron God sect's momentum was earth-shattering. Chapter 354. At this moment, Li Chenglong felt like he was missing a pair of sunglasses. Even his footsteps seemed to be in slow motion, intentionally or unintentionally. He walked out in a majestic and handsome slow-motion manner, step by step. It was really as if he was the god of gamblers entering the scene. However, his opponent did not intend to give him the chance to continue acting cool. He roared and rushed forward. The next moment, Li Chenglong smiled treacherously. His body suddenly sped up and with a spin, 3 Li Chenglong appeared. One swung his fist, one drew his sword and one kicked. It was Qin Fangyang's 5 directions sword mantra that Li Chenglong had learned and used. Before Yan Kuanglei blinked, he was still looking at his opponent's slow-motion performance amidst the cheers of his fans. Who would have thought that the situation would turn out like this in the blink of an eye? Fortunately, he had prepared himself mentally. The sword in his hand met the incoming sword, and he leaned to the side to avoid the punch aimed at his nose. However, he did not manage to avoid the kick. He quickly put his legs together and twisted his buttocks. The kick that was supposed to land on his crotch landed heavily on Yan Kuanglei's buttocks. With a muffled bang, this kick sent Yan Kuanglei tumbling backwards. As the vice-captain, how could Li Chenglong make the mistake of losing focus in the face of an enemy? All the slow-motion moves earlier were just to bait the opponent into attacking and not being able to defend well. After succeeding in one move, Li Chenglong followed up with another attack. He punched, kicked, and swung his sword. His attacks were tyrannical and smooth. He was like a single dog that had left its nest. Although Li Chenglong had been taught the 5-direction sword mantra by Qin Fangyang and had some small achievements, this move required a lot of energy. With Li Chenglong's current cultivation level, he could only use it once and could not sustain it for a long time. However, after launching this move, not only was it unexpected, but they also gained the overwhelming advantage of 3 against 1. In an instant, they gained an overwhelming advantage. It was worth it. Yan Kuanglei's cultivation was roughly on par with Li Chenglong's. However, he had lost the upper hand right from the start and had fallen into a passive state. Li Chenglong did not have any intention of slowing down. His attacks became more and more concentrated, like a storm of attacks. Kill him while he's down. Yan Kuanglei was forced to retreat continuously. Suddenly, he let out an explosive roar. It was as if he didn't care about his life anymore as he charged out without a care for anything else. Immediately after, he charged forward, risking Li Chenglong's punches and kicks in order to regain some of the initiative. Otherwise, if he continued to be suppressed like this, he would definitely lose without any room for a comeback. When Li Chenglong saw this, he let out a loud roar and used all his strength. The sword in his hand was like a huge saber, and he used it to cleave a mountain. He used all his strength to meet the attack head-on. He remembered Zhuo Xiaoduo's warning, the opponent's sword, once it is out, there is no turning back. The most important thing is the momentum. You don't have as many tricks as I do. If you allow the opponent to unleash his sword aura, even if you can drag this battle out, you will still lose. When it comes to dealing with this kind of momentum, other than suppressing the opponent's attack from the start and taking the initiative, you also have to suppress the opponent's momentum. Even if the opponent uses a move that will injure both sides and force you to switch from offense to defense, you have to use a move that is even more tyrannical. You have to suppress the opponent and completely suppress the opponent's momentum. The key to this battle is to take the initiative at all times. No matter what, you can't let the opponent turn the situation back into a tie. Once you have the upper hand but lose, it will be your loss. And now, Li Chenglong was carrying out Zhuo Xiaoduo's words. You want me to give you a step back by charging at me? You think I won't dare to fight you with my life just because I have the upper hand? What a joke. You dare to fight me with your life, but do you think I don't dare to fight you with my life? With a loud clang, the two swords collided with each other in a crazy manner. With a bang, both swords shattered and turned into dust. Yan Kuanglei had poured all of his cultivation into this sword. He couldn't hold back his momentum, so he rushed forward again. Li Chenglong had also poured all of his cultivation into this sword. Seeing that Yan Kuanglei had no intention of retreating, he also rushed forward madly without dodging. Boom boom boom, in the blink of an eye, the two of them had already punched each other 17 or 18 times. Then, under the inertia of rushing forward, the two heads steeled their hearts and lowered their heads. The two heads used a posture similar to that of a bull's horn and collided with each other. Bang! It was a solid collision. This collision caused everyone's heart to skip a beat. It was too loud. Then, a strange scene appeared on the stage that the two of them suffered from each other's huge impact and fell back together. Then, Yan Kuanglei got up as if he was drunk and swayed in slow motion. That Li Chenglong's situation was similar. He got up crookedly and his eyes became cross-eyed. Using a posture similar to that of a drunkard, he slowly twisted and turned on the stage. Ding Xiaolan and the others spat out a mouthful of tea. These two idiots had actually knocked each other unconscious. Zhuo Xiaoduo and Zhou Yunqing's teams covered their faces with both hands. They really didn't dare to watch. On the stage, the two cross-eyed men's minds were full of stars. They spun around the stage like a drunkard and then fell down again. Sitting on the ground, they gasped for breath. Then, they didn't forget to focus their eyes and look around for their opponents. It was at this moment that blood spurted out from the top of their heads at almost the same time with its piyuch sound. On the internet, thousands of Iron God sect disciples were collectively dumbfounded. Sect Master, hold on. Sect Master's cross-eyed eyes are so cute, just like a husky. Sect Master is mighty, knocking over the opponent with one blow. Zhuoxiao duo took the lead and stood up. This match ends with a draw. Captain Zhou, do you have any objections? Zhou Yunqing hesitated and said, our chances of winning this match are less than 40%. If Captain Zhou can also end with a draw, we naturally have no objections. But we're taking advantage of you. Zhuoxiao duo said, that's fine. Look at these two idiots. They'll need at least an hour to recover. Can we afford to wait? Zhou Yunqing laughed and said straightforwardly, then we'll take advantage of them and end with a draw. Then, one person went up and dragged back the two cross-eyed men who were still slacking around. While being dragged away, the two of them bared their fangs and brandished their claws, shouting incoherently, hit. Hit. Da-da-da. Whether it was on the stands or on the internet, laughter shook the sky. Sect Master is so cute. So Sect Master is not only ruthless to women, but also to men. It seems like he's even ruthless to himself. Ha, I'm dying of laughter. I just ate a mouthful of rice, but it all came out of my nostrils. What's your rice? The noodles I just ate are still hanging from my nostrils. You're too silly. You two idiots. Silly +1. Long live Sect Master Silly. I must keep the recording of this match well. If I'm unhappy in the future, I'll watch it again. It's so fun. It's enough for me to use for a lifetime. The first match ended with a draw. This result was more or less beyond everyone's expectations. Strictly speaking, Li Chenglong had the advantage from the beginning of the match. He had the upper hand, and his strategy and tactics were excellent. He didn't give his opponent any chance to turn the situation around. Unfortunately, his opponent was also a ruthless person. At the most critical moment, he headbutted Li Chenglong. At that moment, Li Chenglong's hands and feet were exhausted. If he had dodged, he could have dodged, but he would have lost the initiative. The situation was reversed, so he simply headbutted Yan Kuanglei's head. Because of this, both of them fell into a cross-eyed state. Therefore, to a large extent, this draw was won by Yan Kuanglei himself. Zhuoxiao duo had a good impression of such a tough guy. Therefore, he didn't care about the slight difference and took the initiative to propose a draw. After Li Chenglong and Yan Kuanglei were dragged back, they were still rolling their eyes and shaking their heads. They even wanted to crawl around on the ground that the pills had been fed, the cold water had been poured on their heads, and even the medicinal liquid had been drunk. However, they were still in a muddled state. Yu Moyan simply put Li Chenglong on the ground and sat on Li Chenglong's butt, forcefully suppressing. On the other side, when they saw that this method was good, they followed suit and sat on Vice Captain Yan Kuanglei's butt. When Ding Xiulan came out to announce the second match, she still couldn't help but smile. This didn't seem like a battle, but more like a crosstalk performance. The second match is between Phoenix City's second high school, Long Yuxing, and Water City's first high school, Ling Feishue. Long Yuxing held his sword and came out. On the other side, Ling Feishue's white clothes were like snow, and her long sword was like frost. Once she came out of the formation, she used the move of body and sword as one. Sword of no return. Before she came out of the formation, the sword's momentum was already formed. Dodge, block, retreat, all of these would only make her fall into a disadvantage. A fierce look flashed in Long Yuxing's eyes. His body tilted, and he turned into a white light with his sword. His long sword moved like a rainbow piercing the sun, and flew towards Ling Feishue's heart. Using sword against sword, using attack against attack. Zhou Yunqing and the other high martial arts teachers on the stage were all stunned. Ling Feishue's sword move could be said to be a routine, and it was one of the moves of Sword of No Return. However, Long Yuxing's move was no longer a routine move, but a battle formation killing technique. In a battle formation killing, there was no victory or defeat, only life and death. This move also came from Qin Fangyang's biting cold heart of the sword. Killing sword of life and death. The sword cuts life and death. Your sword doesn't return? Your sword doesn't return. I have no regrets in life and death. Both sides used the move of body and sword as one. The speed of their attacks was also extremely fast. As the saying goes, in a battle between experts, victory or defeat was decided in an instant. This sentence was verified here. From the moment Ding Xiaolan announced the start of the second match, the winner and loser were decided in less than 3 seconds. Puff puff. Ling Feishue's sword pierced through Long Yusheng's lower abdomen, all the way to the hilt, revealing more than 2 feet of the bloody sword behind him. On the other hand, Long Yusheng's sword pierced through Ling Feishue's chest, all the way to the hilt, revealing more than 2 feet of the sword behind him. At the most crucial moment, Long Yusheng's sword moved slightly to the side, revealing the vital point of the heart. However, this was a true battle of life and death. Chapter 355. On the field, off the field, on the viewing platform, everyone was stunned by this thunderous sword. Everyone could only feel their chests pounding, and they could clearly hear the sound of their hearts thumping. No one could make a sound for a moment. Only cold sweat dripped down from their foreheads. Over there. Zhou Yunqing jumped up from his seat and shouted, "Don't move. We admit defeat." Zuo also jumped up as if his butt was on fire. "Don't move." Zuo would not say anything about a draw this time. Because this time, Long Yusheng showed mercy at the last moment. If not, Ling Feishue would be a corpse now. And Long Yusheng was still alive. This was already the outcome of the battle. There was no room for excuses. And the reason why Zhou Yunqing admitted defeat was because of this. Now, the two were still close to each other. Their swords were still stuck in each other's body. At this time, both of them still had a considerable amount of energy left. Just a slight movement of their wrists and a slight release of their true essence would cause irreparable damage. Their eyes met. Long Yusheng smiled faintly, and his right hand let go of the sword hilt. Ling Feishue's face was cold, and her right hand also let go of her sword hilt. Admirable. The two almost spoke at the same time. Ding Xiaolan flew over, and with an indescribable ingenious hand speed, she separated the two. Then she drew out their swords along the wound, carefully and swiftly. There was no hesitation in the process. At this time, the more hesitant it was, the easier it was to ruin things. As the two swords left the body, blood gushed out. Ding Xiaolan was still quick to respond. First, she put the 2 elixirs into their mouths, and then she sprinkled the top-grade golden sword medicine. Then she took out 2 small bottles, one for each person, and poured it down. Then, with cold sweat on his forehead, he said, "These 2 kids. Why are they so violent? They directly decided the outcome of the battle with one move. This is a real life and death battle." Zhang Xiaofei sighed. There are countless accidents in the path of cultivation. Even if you have the elixir of immortality in your hands, if you don't have the opportunity, you can only watch death descend upon you. Fortunately, Long Yusheng's sword tip was slightly off at the last moment. Otherwise, Zhang Xiaofei shook his head and didn't continue. But everyone understood what he meant. Wanli Xiu was so scared that her whole body trembled. She carried Long Yusheng back. Her small face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Zuo shook his head and said, somewhat speechlessly, "Xiu, I've already checked for you. You're not destined to be a widow in this lifetime. Don't worry." When the people around heard this, they thought, what the fuck, although this kid is saying nice things, why are his words so unpleasant? However, to everyone's surprise when Wanli Xiu heard this, her eyes actually lit up. She said excitedly, "Really?" Zuo shrugged. "You don't believe me? When have I ever lied to you? Even if Long Yusheng lied to you, I wouldn't lie to you, right?" "Yes, yes." Wanli Xiu nodded repeatedly. Her mood immediately stabilized a lot. Several high martial arts teachers looked at Wanli Xiu in confusion. Wanli Xiu was actually coaxed by Zuo's unpleasant words. They could not help but look at each other. "I won't have the life of a widow in this life." These words were actually used to comfort people? This was the first fucking time they heard it. And what did he mean by, even if Long Yusheng lied to you, I wouldn't lie to you? Her boyfriend was just nearby and had just been seriously injured. How could you say that? Were you really not here to poach her? Both of them were carried back. There were only 2 pools of blood left in the arena. It was a shocking sight. Phoenix City High School number 2, 1 win and 1 draw. Based on the current situation, they had the advantage and had the upper hand. The third round, Phoenix City High School number 2, Li Zhangming. Water City High School, Yi. When they heard the names of their opponents, everyone's spirits were lifted. However, they did not know how the two of them would fight in this round. Would they see that mysterious and unpredictable Great Dream Divine technique again? For the first time, Li Zhangming actually took out a long iron rod from his space ring. As he strode out, he casually swung the iron rod and a huge flower appeared. It was truly a spectacular sight and was pleasing to the eye. Li Zhangming propped the iron rod on the ground and said majestically, "Please." How could the crowd not understand? This guy was obviously not going to use the Great Dream Divine technique. He was going to use pure strength to win. Yu Yen-er was a petite and beautiful woman. She had a delicate figure and a delicate face. Paired with her snow-white clothes, she looked really lovely, making me feel pity for her. In her hand, there was a sharp sword. "Please." The sword flashed and Li Zhangming's rod was already whistling. The battle between the two of them was intense. They exchanged hundreds of moves in one breath, but there was no clear winner. It was hard to tell who was better. Yu Yen-er looked petite, but her toughness was unusually strong. Her swordsmanship was not like Yan Kuanglei and Ling Feishue's, where the sword was unstoppable. Instead, it was extremely soft and flexible. However, it was also different from Zhou Xiaodua's drizzle swordsmanship. Her swordsmanship was dense and focused on offense. Her swordsmanship was more suitable for a woman's soft and delicate style. After 500 moves, Li Zhangming gradually felt that his strength was running out. He could not help but panic and thought to himself, "Am I going to lose twice in a row?" As the thought flashed through his mind, he suddenly swung his long rod 17 to 18 times. Then, he quickly turned around and threw the long rod in his hand in a spinning manner. His target was Yu Yen. Then, he raised his hands that Yu Yen-er had already sensed that Li Zhangming's attacks were gradually slowing down. She thought that Li Zhangming's strength was running out. Her strategy of using softness to defeat strength was working. However, she did not expect an unforeseen event to happen. First, there was a round of fierce attacks. Although it was not impossible to deal with, it temporarily limited her to one spot. Then, there was another rod that flew out of his hand. However, this was not a problem for Yu Yen. She still managed to dodge it. However, just as she was dodging, Li Zhangming casually threw 4 or 5 white gas at Yu Yen-er's face. Yu Yen-er tried her best to hold her breath. However, the white gas was colorless and odorless. It did not enter the body through breathing. Instead, it entered the body in a silent way. Seeing that Li Zhangming turned around and ran, Yu Yen-er was enraged. She changed from defense to offense and quickly chased after him. However, just as she jumped up, she felt dizzy and an irresistible drowsiness swept over her. On the other side, Li Zhangming was also in a wobbly state. However, he continued to throw out 2 more white gas. Obviously, he was taking precautions. Then, he fell to the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Yu Yen-er was getting more and more dizzy. Finally, she could not hold on any longer and fell to the ground. Her eyes rolled back. She slowly lay down on the ground and fell into a sweet sleep. Everyone was speechless. This kind of operation that we don't understand is happening again, that the Great Dream Divine Art was performing again. On the field, Li Zhangming was sleeping soundly. Yu Yen-er's breathing was light and gentle. She slept like a lady. After a long time, there was no intense battle like the one between Li Zhangming and Shimin Duqing. After a while, the smile on Li Zhangming's face turned strange to Yu Yen-er's face was also flushed red. As if she was very shy. After a long time, Yen-er screamed and woke up. Li Zhangming, who was opposite her, also opened his eyes at the same time. His face was full of embarrassment. Yen-er jumped up and pointed at Li Zhangming with a red face. "You pervert! How could you do that?" Li Zhangming was embarrassed. Cough, cough, cough. That was not that. Yen-er's face was red and she stomped her feet. Suddenly, she covered her face and ran back. Li Zhongming had a silly smile on his face and did not speak for a long time. Everyone, including the referee, had a look of curiosity on their faces. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. Zhou Yunqing looked at Zhou Xiaoduo and Zhou Xiaoduo looked at Zhou Yunqing and smiled bitterly at the same time. How was this going to be settled? At that moment, no one knew how to settle the score. After all, they were not the ones involved. Who knew what kind of dream they had? The internet was in an uproar. What do you think Li Zhongming, this perverted fat single dog, did to the girl in his dream? I think that when the girl woke up and called him a pervert. I think it's not that simple. I don't need you to say it's not simple. Based on my experience as a single dog, this kid must have her in her dream. With my fifth limb, I personally agree with this deduction. This kid's smile is too perverted. He actually used his divine art to make the girl have a wet dream. What a bitch. I wonder what it was like in the dream. Did he really take it off? Tisk. One look and I know you're a pure single dog. In a dream, do you know the flow of time in a dream? Maybe in the dream, you've already given birth to a few children and spent your entire life with them. You're right. Once, I dreamt that I spent a few decades in my dream. It was so comfortable, but I can't remember the details. Anyway, it was comfortable. Of course it's comfortable in a sweet dream. If you continuously enter the bridal chamber in your dream, how could it not be comfortable? TSK. Chest lift, what a wonderful idea. How is this considered victory or defeat? The referees were also confused. Zhou Xiaoduo asked loudly, Li Zhongming, tell me honestly, what did you do to her in your dream? Li Zhongming stuttered with an embarrassed look on his face. No, nothing. Nothing. Why did she run away with a red face? She even called you a pervert? Zhou Xiaoduo was full of righteousness and said sternly, tell me honestly. Otherwise, even if you're in the arena now and your opponent is no longer in the arena, I still can't declare you the winner. Zhou Yunqing suddenly raised her head and looked at Zhou Xiaoduo. Zhou Xiaoduo looked back calmly, his eyes as calm as water. Zhou Yunqing narrowed her eyes and said, Captain Zhou, this concerns a woman's reputation. You can't take it lightly. Zhou Xiaoduo said calmly, it's just a dream. How can it be real? Besides, it's a martial arts competition in the arena. It's all about skills. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.